Listen, I love Bear Saki's joke, which is, I know being gay is not a choice, because if it was, I would choose it.
Yeah, 100%. That's
Right.
I actually have always said that. I have always said that. It's not a joke. It's not a joke.
It is our truth, and dick is a disease, and we're infected. You guys, I love that we started just talking about religion.
We're just like deep in it, talking about religion. We should introduce.
You think?
I mean, people probably read the title of the podcast, but I'm so excited that she's here with us.
One of your
today.
best friends.
She's one of my closest friends.
Yeah, I would
and
say.
you've been lucky to work with her. Chelsea Devantez is here. And Chelsea's been on the podcast before, but now she's here on business.
Official business, as an author. Peddling her wares.
I'm peddling my book, and y'all are so kind to be in the middle of a goddamn show wearing the hottest outfits I've ever seen and take a moment to podcast with me. No, seriously, this is a genius. I'm sure everyone is like, oh, wow, this is genius. But QVC was everything when we were growing up, especially when you're from small towns.
Yeah.
You don't have access to stuff. I mean, talk about hot girls don't gatekeep. QVC was like, hey, Joan Rivers has designed a goddamn necklace and you can own it. And my mom would be like, look at this. And now I feel like TikTok is the new QVC. And then your show is like bringing the worlds together.
We're doing it. Oh my God, I love
thank
this.
you.
I love this whole analogy or whatever it was.
Well, no, really, when I saw your, I was like looking at your outfits. I was like, I want that. And then I was like, oh my God, I get to click it and buy it. And I mean, I had a whole like, that's my religion. Seeing something cute and buying it immediately with one click.
I have several friends who grew up as the children of missionaries, which a thing that like I never had any experience. I didn't know anyone in Arizona who were like Christian missionaries.
Oh, okay.
At all.
Okay.
There was a large Mormon population in Arizona, but not where I lived, not in Scottsdale.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And Christian missionaries are just a wholly different thing.
Have you both watched Savior Complex?
Oh, no. Is it great?
It's fantastic. It's exactly what you're talking about too.
It's a documentary, right?
It's a documentary, and the trailer made people think it was something it wasn't. But yeah, it's this like 19-year-old missionary being like, I'm here to heal Africa's children and God is speaking through me. And and it goes from there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's fantastic. It is fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway,
I grew up in the Baptist church, and when my parents got divorced when I was 10, my mom was not allowed to go to that church anymore because they
chose
didn't
him.
Just because like you weren't supposed to be divorced, I guess, in that church or whatever, which I was kind of bummed because it was like our community. But then my mom found through a friend like another church that was Episcopalian, and I thought that was kind of like more like a white bread church. Like I thought it was more like
waspy.
like a waspy church.
It's
not
not.
this one.
Well, Episcopalian's not waspy at all.
This was like a full faith healing church. So like I went to like faith healings and watched like people.
My
speak in
great grandfather
tongues
was
and
an Episcopalian priest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He went to
Yeah.
the General Theological Seminary is Episcopalian.
God. This one was real loosey goosey culty and faith healings and but I loved it because they had a basketball team and I got to be a cheerleader and they did plays. So I was like full in, but also like going to faith healings.
Sure, so that you could be a cheerleader and get into drama.
100%.
I went to Mormon LDS church for 6 years. And no, I have never been Mormon. But I lived in Utah and everyone was Mormon. It was the most, was
it
St.
like
George.
middle school?
It was elementary school and middle school. And St. George used to be the Mormon capital of the world. So it was the highest population.
You were from St. George, Utah?
We lived in 6 different states all over the Southwest. But St. George, Utah is one of the longest places I lived. And I was like, it seems if you're not Mormon here, things don't go well for you. So hello, I am also Mormon.
Also, like, I just remember being in 6th grade, I think, and like these girls that I really wanted to be friends with went to the whatever the
Youth
version
group?
at that time of a mega church was
Right.
in Scottsdale. And I was just like, well, that's what I got to do now. I got to go to these teen nights
Right.
Yeah.
and
absolutely.
whatever. And my mom was
Or
like,
in-
busy. Don't,
Busy.
come on. Not
Or in my
ugh.
case, you got to go to the graveyard baptisms.
I was going to
where
say.
you baptize yourself over the grave of someone who was Jewish so that their soul is free to make that decision in heaven. I was not allowed to do the baptisms, of course, because I wasn't Mormon, but the other Mormons did.
Sure.
It's pretty wildly offensive when you think about it. Like, they would go to a grave of someone who was like Catholic or Jewish and be like, I'll get baptized for you since you made the wrong choice in life.
I think they're still doing that. I think they're still posthumously baptizing people.
Wild.
Yeah.
My grandmother,
Yeah.
my dad's mom, was born into a Mormon house.
Yeah.
And left when she was, I think, 15, ran away or whatever to Chicago and became a nurse.
Interesting.
Wow.
But she had, at the end of her life, she had dementia. So, I mean, it's unclear because it was so long ago. It probably was more like Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But at the very end of her life, she had been Catholic her entire life with my grandfather and raised her kids Catholic and all that stuff. Was very Catholic. But then in the end of her life, when the Catholic priest came in, she said she thought that my dad was kidnapping her into a Catholic cult because she reverted back to remembering that she was Mormon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I stopped being David Letterman's assistant, I suggested that he hire this woman who had been our intern, she was great. But then she wanted to also hire a friend of hers, but she and the friend were Mormon. And I just remember Dave, calling me a month in and being like, they took me aside and asked me if I could stop swearing.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
And I was wait a minute. Who's the boss here?
No.
I love missionary audacity. Where you really are, you're doing the will of God. So you are going to ask David Letterman to stop swearing, even though you are an intern.
Even though you are an intern. Even though you are a page.
Because they were probably we're just trying to help his mortal soul.
Of course, that would make you do. What else could make you?
He should appreciate it.
Make that ask.
That's
Also,
absolutely insane.
It's also one of those religions. I mean, I guess all of them, but specifically this one, where it's like I grew up around fundamentalist Mormons, which are very different than modern Mormons or Jack Mormons or Heather Gay's bad Mormons. It's a whole spectrum.
Yeah, for sure.
But that intern sounded like someone I grew up with.
We did a woman on the street thing last week, which, by the way, at some point we'll break down how absolutely impossible it is to do these woman on the street
New York
things.
City is not having it. New York City is not impressed by a TV camera the way they are in other cities.
Or me. They're also just wait, are you the guy that talks to preschoolers? No, get the fuck out of here. Are you the guy who sits with you on the subway on TikTok? Get the fuck out of here. I'm not talking to you.
Do you want to see my apartment? No.
And the real estate apartment guy, where it's those are all setups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every person you accidentally ran into that happens to live in a multi-million-dollar basement cannot be in a full face of makeup every time you randomly run into them on the street. I refuse it.
Wait, you guys, I just read, this is a total sidebar, sorry, but I just read about, I think it's a documentary that's either out or something, about this guy who found all of the remaining people, or maybe he made a book, people in New York City who had taken advantage of the loft laws, L-O-F-T,
okay.
loft laws. And he tracked them all down, all the buildings that still had it, tracked down all the people, knocked on all the doors, and went inside to find out all their stories. And people are living in these lofts in Soho and Chelsea mostly, that are like 3,000 square foot lofts that they've been living in since like 1980, 1972, whatever.
Oh my God.
That they pay like $550.
It's wild.
Or they like bought it outright. Like it's just like the craziest thing. And they cannot get, like they're not, it's because of this law, whatever. I don't even know what the law was, but.
I mean, listen, I'm very happy for them.
I'm jealous.
You're jealous? Wait, didn't like some man that lived in a loft? Like,
no, there's a man, Chelsea. Oh, you're married now.
I'm sorry. Were you about to set me up with a man in a loft?
Yeah. No, there's a man who lives on my street. And on the end of my street is this like small apartment building, essentially like a converted townhome, but like a bigger townhome, like a huge townhome that's converted into, I think it's 2 or 3 apartments. But his family has lived in the top 2 floors with the like rooftop balcony since the 60s. He grew up there. He is an old man. And at one point, he was walking his dogs and I was sitting on my stoop and we ended up talking. And he told me the whole story, which was crazy, but it also involved like every member of his family dying in like tragically, like, or in COVID or whatever. It was just like so sad.
Yeah.
I mean, his parents are long gone, but the family's like, he's kept this apartment in the family because it's totally rent controlled. And then like, I guess at some point in the late 90s, the original owner of the building that they had been renting from the whole time had promised them that he was selling them the building, and that they were renting
to own
basically for however many years they had been doing this.
Yeah.
And then he sold it out from under them to someone else. But because of the laws, like the rent stabilization laws, the family has been allowed to stay with like only a very slight increase in rent. And so he still lives in this place and it's totally grandfathered in and it's rent stabilized and they cannot like raise this rent. But he's like the last of the family.
Right.
Wow. Okay, but when you said, wait, Chelsea, you're already married. He wants to find someone?
He literally wants to find someone to marry him, not for any other reason, but to fuck the landlord. He wants to find a young person who will marry him.
Is he into couples? Because Yasser and I think we could be down for a real estate trade. Like, I think we would both show up to the altar. We'd get it done. I mean, you said 3,000
whatever
square
it is,
feet.
it just has to be legal. Like, it has to be airtight so that you can keep this, like, literally, I think it's like under $1,000 a month that this guy pays. They want him out so fucking, I mean, obviously.
I mean, we're gonna find a way.
I'm very scared for that man because I feel like they're gonna be like leaking carbon monoxide into his apartment or something.
No, man. He's like, I was worried about him because I hadn't seen him for a while. And then there he was walking down the street with those dogs. Like he's getting up there. Like he wears his like Vietnam vet vest and like he's got long hair and he's got these 3 dogs. The one dog who's like an older golden retriever that like kind of looks like him, and he's always carrying like a rolled up paper sack in his mouth. The dog is like, it's just like
that's
a whole
incredibly
vibe.
cute. Busy. Did you feel like maybe he was proposing to you?
I was gonna say,
I said to him, like, if I could figure out how to get divorced, I would definitely be down for this trade, but it's not my journey.
Seems like it's worth figuring out.
He also was like, I'll adopt someone too. He's like, I don't care. I'll adopt. We don't even have
I don't have a dad. He should adopt me.
I know. I'm an orphan.
I've been up for adoption my whole life.
Wait, Chelsea, he should adopt you.
He should adopt me. This would be the only good father thing to ever happen to me if this man with a loft adopted me and then gave it to me. I karmically deserve that.
I think I haven't been inside the apartment. I haven't asked. And also I probably wouldn't go by myself, but because I also it would just make me too sad. I would probably just.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys, also, I went back on Raya, you know?
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's terrible. It's not great.
Well, we were going through it in Ashley's kitchen, like, I don't know. When was that? 7 months ago? 5 months ago? We were like, but I was in Uriah and yes.
It's not
Tell
great.
me, what's it like? Yeah.
7 months. That was like a year ago.
I know.
I don't know time anymore. I'm on Mariah Carey time, which is that time doesn't exist and we don't acknowledge it. Whatever time it was, I saw Uriah.
Okay.
That's also how Prince lived, by the way. And he said that kept him looking young.
I actually believe that, and I don't subscribe to time really either.
Yeah, it's a construct as all
We
the
know
other
that.
things that we reject. So might as well reject time as well.
Might as well reject. I mean, listen, I would like to know what time it is, but post-pandemic, I don't know when anything happened.
I have to say, I feel this deeply. I recently said to someone, I don't know, and maybe not recently, I don't know, again, that I used to, you just wrote your book. When I wrote my book, people were astounded at my memory for times, places, facts, years, what people would wear, what people were wearing, all this stuff. The last 4 years of my life, I could not tell you where. I know most of it's been in New York. I don't know when things happened.
Yeah,
I don't know where they I don't know fucking anything.
Huh.
I can't remember
Time
anything.
has changed for all of us. Also, people really don't seem to understand the art of memoir and what goes into it. Were you a journaler, Busy? Because I had so many childhood journals,
Yes.
and those things should get a co-writing credit. It's
100%.
I don't remember it now, but I did go read my journal and find a detail or line of dialogue.
No, 100%. And also, I just talked to Paul Scheer about his memoir.
Oh, yeah, so good.
And I know it was really sad for me to read that book. It was hard. But we all have those of us who turned out gorgeous and funny.
And listen, I was going to say, if you found that book sad, well,
guess what?
get ready when mine arrives at your doorstep.
Which, by the way, when is it coming?
Nobody's writing a memoir because they had a fucking great life.
Well, sometimes that was the old version of a memoir. I remember reading. Okay, I don't want to out this person, but I remember reading a memoir of an actress. This was a long time ago, who I loved. And I was like, something bad, there's trauma here, because I knew she had alcoholism and issues, right?
Yeah.
And she just never fucking went into whatever it was that happened to her. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
just was I felt so cheated at the end of the book. I was like, but where's the rape? Or whatever, not to be
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I just was like, but what fucking happened to you?
Right.
Why are you, and I couldn't.
You couldn't figure it out because she didn't
want to do it. But there was a time when that was not, people didn't do it.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. And it made it so special when someone did. Delta Burke did have a few mentions of this.
Right.
But I just read Elizabeth Taylor's memoir, which it's so fucking heartbreaking. It's a diet book. That's the only autobiography we have of this woman, is that it's half a diet book. And in it, she's like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about the drugs or the alcoholism. We're just going to talk about weight loss. And it just skips that whole part of her story.
Right. And you have to just fill it in yourself,
Fill it in yourself in between recipes of how to bake an apple for an hour and then pretend it's a soft pie. That was a recipe. 1 apple, dash of cinnamon, bake for an hour. I was like, I can't believe
I remember
this is
eating that in my 20s when I was told to lose weight by a network.
Oh my God.
I literally remember doing that.
But I guess it's did it taste good? It sounds disgusting.
It actually tasted
baked
so
apples
good.
are nice.
Yeah,
they are
delicious.
good. As a New Englander,
it's just warming up the apple and that's it. And that's enough.
It's apple pie filling, kind of.
Wait, hold on a second.
But without all the sugar and the stuff that makes it good.
You know what it's like? It's like applesauce. If you like applesauce, but it's not pureed.
But I would put just a shit ton of cinnamon on
applesauce.
mine, Chelsea.
I'm not buying it, y'all. I think Busy, you were in the weight loss mode, and then this mushy, warm apple goo was a gift.
By the way, I haven't had a fucking apple baked in the toaster oven with cinnamon on it in quite some time, Chelsea. You know what I mean?
Good. I'm proud. I'm proud.
I also remember years ago, right after White Chicks, that was around when I started being asked or told to lose weight by I mean, for like the third
by
time.
super hot men.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were really hot. Like really hot men kept telling you.
Really fit and hot.
Really fit, thin men.
Guys that work behind the scenes in television are notoriously very perfect and hot.
It was like this South Beach diet recipe that was like fat-free ricotta cheese, a packet of Splenda, and 6 chocolate chips.
Oh my God.
And I was like, it's dessert.
It's a cheesecake.
Like, fucking
God.
disturbing.
Wrote this in my book, so I'm curious if you two ever did this. I said something like I am technically a millennial, but the group of women I prefer to identify with is all of us who heard that Kelly Clarkson sucked on a frozen grape to lose weight.
Right.
And started putting grapes in our fucking fridge and sucking on them at night.
Freezer.
In her like
freezer grapes.
Freezer grapes. Yeah, her 2003 American Idol like years where they were like, you should lose weight. So have you guys ever sucked on a frozen grape as like a sweet treat?
I mean,
Charles,
100.
When I tell you the things like I've like, and by the way, this was like as a child. This is why to this day I cannot abide salmon, is because like when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old in the summertime, I was put on a canned salmon diet.
Oh my God, I'm
Canned
going to vomit.
salmon.
By
I'm gonna
my
vomit.
grandmother and my mother. And I remember, like, the canned salmon is particularly offensive.
Disgusting.
And I think we were like buying the cheap canned
course.
salmon. And
The
it's
cheap
cat food.
canned salmon.
the cheap
Hooey.
canned salmon.
Cat food.
So,
That's
like,
right,
yeah,
cat
it was
food.
like cat food.
Mr. Frisk was
and
fresh.
I was just bringing this everywhere with me all summer. And I remember one of my moms, you know, we were sort of talking about like my mom would always have like a woman in her life that she was kind of like, I don't know if obsessed is the right word, or just my mom would become very attached and almost like monogamous with a woman friend throughout my life. She had a series of them. But the woman who was her woman friend at that time, who was also like on a diet all the time. And I remember her saying to me, the more your tummy gets smaller, the more your boobs stick out. And I was losing weight because I wasn't eating even like the allotted salmon because it was repulsive to me.
That is truly
That is-
horrifying.
I'm just so. It's just fun to be a funny lady, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
but what? How horrifying!
To bring it all kind of full circle back to like we started talking about religion, whatever, and how I like desperately wanted to be a cheerleader. And I first got to be a cheerleader through this church that we joined when my parents got divorced. I remember buying a How to Be a Cheerleader book at a Scholastic book fair sale, and it was full of tween diet tips. And I was probably like 8 or 9 years old when I bought that.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, I mean,
makes so much sense. Yeah, absolutely.
These are cults
Absolutely.
that we didn't even know we were in and have been in for so long.
Oh my God.
But
Yes,
that
I was in the Jessica Simpson is fat cult for a
Oh my
long time
God.
because when I was like, I don't know, 11, they were like, look at this fat cow on Us Weekly. And then I read her book and she was like, did you know I was a size 4 then? And I Googled the pictures again. And that is my religion. Googling Jessica Simpson's fat mom jeans pics will be your religion because you will realize that we told women everywhere that was fat.
But Chelsea, you do know that in the movie White Chicks, my character is described as their fat friend.
No, sorry, I haven't seen White Chicks in some time.
I mean, that would
is-
make you literally the only person in the fucking world because everybody watches that movie fucking all the time for some
all
reason.
the time. No, you're right. It has such lasting power. I cannot believe, I mean, I can, Busy. Like and that was like then spread out into culture as
Yes.
like,
She was the fat,
What-
the fat,
yeah,
pathetic friend.
right.
And like,
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I remember that when I saw it, like, it wasn't in my sides.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I got the script and I was reading through it and it was like, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it has barely gotten better. I do think it's gotten better.
I think it's gotten
looking at the
better.
sides and scripts that come through for sure. But every now and then a real doozy makes its way in, and you're like, oh, some people didn't read a book in the last 20 years.
Well, it's weird, right? Because like our brains are still broken because back then, like now we have more acceptance of like, it's okay to have whatever body you have. Whereas like maybe now if someone said like she's the fat friend, even though that's like reductive, like we might accept that better now than we did back then when we knew it was meant to mean that you're the joke. You couldn't be the leading lady.
It's interesting. Like even think about Pitch Perfect and the character Fat Amy.
Yeah,
Her name is Fat Amy. And it was like this miniature step forward of like she's owning it and she's hot and she has a crush, but when you think about it, it's still like, oh, we have a character named Fat Amy, you know, and that wasn't, I don't know, was it, what is time? 10 years ago? I have no idea.
10, 15?
So
no,
I
10.
feel like, and I feel
15.
like we've come forward since then. Like, I don't think that would happen. But yeah, it feels like it's just like baby steps.
Right.
Did you read her book? Did you read Rebel's book?
I did, yeah.
I mean, you read them all.
I read them all. It was not good. It was not good. But I do think the headlines that came out about her book were all about Sacha Baron Cohen. And everyone completely skipped over, to me, way important headlines, which is that she lost her virginity at 35, but did not have an orgasm till 39.
Wow.
That is 4 years of sex sans orgasm. I mean,
was
like
she
that
a long time
But
to
was
wait.
she fucking men until 39? Because she's with a woman now.
Yes, exactly. And yes, she had, it was just men. They are named, which is fun. So that means those dudes have found out they were never making a woman come.
Wow.
And she had sex with one woman, a tennis player. And now she's married to a woman. Yes. And I hope she's
But I just mean, was the orgasm finally with?
No, the orgasm was with herself.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's also like I think the reason why I didn't like the book is that there was clearly such a deeper story missing, which is how do you get to 35 and you haven't made yourself come, but all you play in Hollywood is I'm so fucking sexy, nasty,
horny.
I love fucking, I'm horny. Like you have all the information, but it's not being used with yourself. I think there's a whole story there, but that's just me being having read 1,000 celebrity memoirs.
Well, I was going to say, that's you being the same person reading between the lines of the Elizabeth Taylor diet book memoir, you know, like you, Chelsea, in case you don't know, in addition to having her own new memoir out, which we have to like,
I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm going to anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, you even got the subtitle.
Yes.
Parenthetical.
But Chelsea has long time had a really popular podcast where she talks about celebrity memoirs.
It's like a book club.
Yeah.
It's a book club.
Glamorous Trash.
We had this similar journey. I remember talking to you guys about this. I just thought a network was like the way to go and that they would give you so much support and money. And it took them 8 months to launch the podcast. But they had, in my contract was, but they would give me $20,000 in marketing. And I was like, well, I got to wait this 8 months because that's so huge, only to find out that's 4 ads.
Right.
So that is 4 ads for 1 month each. that was what happened. And I was with them and the network imploded. It's not even a network anymore. It was it was Stitcher.
Right.
And then I went independent before they imploded.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's been good. I'm really glad I did it.
I love it. I was with you in the weekend leading up to the launch and you were working like a mad woman, even though it was like supposed to be a relaxing weekend.
That's right. We were on a
like,
girls trip in a lake house.
And as I was reading your memoir, just talking about like, you're talking about your work habits and I'm thinking of like your work ethic. I was just having so many flashbacks to that weekend where you'd be like, yes, I'm coming over to eat charcuterie in 5 minutes.
I haven't read the book yet, Chelsea, and I'm very excited to, because this is going to be my summer of reading books that people I know wrote.
Yes. I think it's a perfect book for the summer.
Well, and you've got a book box. You've each got a fancy book box with some tiny little swag probably coming to you this week.
I can't wait. I'm
Can I say something, Chelsea? You do the best swag of any. Like, a lot of people don't do swag for anything. Like, a lot of people that like write books or do podcasts, and like that's understandable because it's not like a multi-million-dollar business we're talking about here, writing a book or hosting a podcast. But you do swag for everything. You have such a good mind for swag.
What was your wedding swag? Did you have wedding swag?
No, so the swag for the brand is entirely my business partner and manager, Jordan.
Jordan.
She is so like incredible with that because when it comes to the wedding, no swag. Actually, you know what? We did have Lego boxes.
You had the Lego flowers.
We had the Lego
That's
flowers
cute.
that were like, so it was like a box of flowers on the table. And I did tell everyone to like on the box, I was like, put this together. If you're antisocial, make Legos in the corner and please take them. And all of them were gone. And so were our luminarias, which are like a New Mexican thing. So I felt good about that.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know. You probably haven't listened to every episode of this podcast because you're busy with
I did,
your
and
podcast.
I was honored. Everyone wrote me and said they talked about your wedding on Busy's podcast. And
We did.
I felt so
But
honored.
we've also talked a lot about those Lego flowers because they have like caused friend drama in like Busy's friend circle at the
And your friend circle.
Christmas. Well, like
It's really your friend circle now. I don't live there
people
anymore.
that I know because of Busy, and I've been like invited.
You're trying
into
to give me credit, but I literally don't even live there anymore, and they're just your friends now.
I've been invited into the fold, and there's like a Christmas gift exchange, and the Lego flowers have caused drama 2 years in a row because of like people, the like white elephant gift exchange.
And people want it.
And people want those
want the
Lego
Lego.
flowers
Right.
so much that they like
Do
scheme.
people understand that those flowers are $12
That's-
and and if you're
Go buy
being a
them
dick
yourself.
at a white elephant, you need to look in the mirror. That's unbelievable.
My daughter Birdie's obsessed with them and like puts like she can hyper focus. This is like where her ADHD is like best.
Yeah.
The best application for Birdie is building Legos with her
Oh my
ADHD. She
gosh.
can sit there. She's like Chelsea, she's like almost 16. She literally can sit there and you won't hear a peep from her for like 8 hours and she'll come out and it'll be at the Taj Mahal. Like she's done it.
I love that. They're very soothing. The way adult coloring books came back, I
Yes.
feel like that's Lego.
the Legos. Yeah.
Yeah.
She loves it so much. It's really cute.
Oh, that's interesting. I always thought my kids would be super into Legos.
Wait, but they weren't when they were kids.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Yeah.
Mine were
yeah.
not. She had no interest.
Oh,
when we were
interesting.
When we were kids. When Birdie and I were children together.
Well, I mean, I think
of.
of myself as a kid when
You were younger than me, though.
a little bit. But
Do you think you guys will have kids, Chelsea?
If we have kids, we are going to foster to adopt.
Yes.
Because I'm donor conceived. And so I have a lot of, I don't know, I've kind of always come into this life knowing that if I was going to be a mom, I would be a really great mom to someone who also didn't get to know one or more of their biological parents. Like,
right.
that's probably something I have that other people don't, only because I lived it. And
That's super interesting.
Yasser also, his dad abandoned him very young. And so we have this in common. And just because I know so much about adoption from being donor conceived, because they're very similar communities, I also, it's very specific. It's very important to me that we would foster to adopt, which is different than just adoption.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's been important this week? Electrolytes.
Oh, we have been sweating our behinds off here in New York City.
I like walked over here today and it was like the kind of sweat where I was chilly and sweating because when the wind hit me, it was good, but the wind was just wet. It was wet wind. I don't even understand what's happening, guys.
And you're like, how much of this is from me and how much is
so humid and gross, but also kind of lovely because I'm happy to have warmer temperatures. I don't mind a sweat. I do not mind a sweat. And I have to say, thank God for Element. Guys, you know Element. We've talked about it a lot. It's an electrolyte drink mix. It's got everything you need, nothing you don't. It's a science-backed electrolyte ratio. No junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. It's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs. It's perfectly suited for anyone, keto, low carb, paleo, whatever you got going on. But here's why electrolytes are so important. They help you do everything. And if you're feeling even just like sluggish and tired, especially when the summer is coming around, I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
You try it.
Pay attention.
And tell me that I'm not right.
Yeah.
Because everyone that I have like challenged with this, and then they've done an element packet in their water, and then they're like 30 minutes later, they're like, wait, I feel fine. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, your brain is foggy. Oh yeah. Oh, your muscles are cramping.
We've talked so much about things that we should have learned as we grew up, and hydration is just like a thing that we were never taught about hydration.
Well, and we weren't taught. We were like, drink water, but like you need electrolytes to help the water
do what it's supposed to do.
What it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
If sodium's not replaced,
you get out of whack.
Muscle cramps, fatigue, sleeplessness. Anyway, guys, I say, especially heading into these warm summer months, I know my friends in LA, you're still like, what? It's May gloom into June gloom. No, it's going to be hot before you know it.
Right.
Also, if you work out, also just running around.
Or you had a glass of wine last night.
A lot of the wine, yes. Right now, Element is offering our listeners a free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. It's 8 single serving packets free with any Element drink mix purchase. It's a great way to try all 8 flavors, or you can share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinklmnt.com/best. This deal, only available through our link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/best. That's drinkelement.com/best.
And you can try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, share it with a salty friend and they will give you your money back. No questions asked. You have nothing to lose. Really nothing to lose, everything to gain. We love you, Element. Thank you.
We love you, Element. Oh, Beam. Beam is the best. We love you, Beam. Beam is the best. Have you been trying this Beam Dream powder?
Yes, because
I have.
I love a bedtime hot cocoa. Like that's
that kind of a drink.
Yeah, I love that. I love a little chocolate before bed because I don't know. I just associate it with, I must have seen it on a TV show when I was a kid.
Listen, you guys, I've been having some issues with falling asleep.
Yeah.
And we all know we got to sleep, man. And poor sleep is not great.
If you're not sleeping, everything's falling apart.
And proper sleep increases all the good things. You can focus, you feel good, your mood is better, you're not going to snap at people. So we got this stuff called Beam's Dream Powder. And we both have been trying it, and I am in.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
I'm actually a believer.
Yeah.
I am a believer. It's a science-backed, healthy hot cocoa for sleep. Lots of different flavors: chocolate, peanut butter, cinnamon cocoa, sea salt, caramel. It's got 15 calories, no sugar.
Thank goodness.
Other sleep aids that I've taken, including gummies of certain kind, I can't do because I just get too groggy in the morning. Like it doesn't work for me.
Right.
But this is a blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, melatonin, and nano CBD. And it helps you fall asleep. It helps you stay asleep. It helps you wake up feeling like a princess in a Disney bed with like birds chirping. It's incredible.
You know what I want to say about it is that, and this is just for me, this is just my experience. Like I wake up feeling well rested. Like I guess I think of well rested as like mentally, like I slept, but also for me, my body feels relaxed and better.
I know. And I think it's I don't know. I think it's the combination of all the things because I know the magnesium helps with your body.
Yes.
Like recovery. I know that CBD does. I know magnesium does.
Yeah. So it's like a mental and a bodily refresh that is
And
very
I
appealing.
also think if you're a person who's like perio or meno, this is like a thing you might want to try. I'm just saying you might want to try it.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm being told I'm not in perio and my period, I still get my period very consistently, always, full moon, I bleed on a full moon. I do have the sleep stuff, always, my whole life, sleep stuff. And when I did this cocoa, Beam's Dream. I love that it's Beam's Dream
powder.
Who's Mr. Beam? Where is she? Who is Beam? We're going to find out. We're going to find her. I was like shocked that I didn't wake up at the 3 a.m. or the 4 a.m., which is like normally my thing.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, what I love about it, I love a clinical study. In a clinical study, 93% of participants reported dream helped them get better sleep. That's an A. I love a 93%.
Major 93% is a number that doesn't lie. Anyway, today our listeners are going to get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, the science-backed healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Better sleep has never tasted better. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, you can get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/busy and use code busy at the checkout. That's shopbeam, BEAM.com/busy. Use code busy for up to 40% off. Guys, highly recommend it. If you're like me, if you're a middle of the night waker-upper, if you're a person who has found that other things don't make you feel good in the morning, I just highly recommend you try it. It's really worked for me.
That's a big part of your book. We should talk a little bit about it, about how, you were raised by a single mom and you have siblings, but then at some point when you sort of had an estrangement from the person that you understood to be your dad. Yeah. And then your mom and your dad were both like, I'm not your dad anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was, so my mom was a single mom, but also not a single mom because there were 2 horrific husbands and she was divorced from both of them before I was 14. And then when I was 14, I found out that the first one, who I thought was my dad, who had been so horrible to me my whole life, was not even my biological dad, and that I was conceived from a sperm donor, and both my brothers are my half-brothers. So it's a lot of information when you're 14 years old, and yet that is a late, in the 80s, it was like, I was so lucky to probably be told so early because donor conception is such a they put so much shame around it. They make everyone keep it a secret. It's built into the medical practice, especially back then. But it is a very late point for a human to find out. You're supposed to find out. I mean, since from the day you can understand, I don't know.
From the jump.
Anything. From the jump.
Right. And it also seems like, and forgive me if I'm I don't want to overstep and analyze my friend, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe the man that you understood to be your dad wasn't successfully 100% on board psychologically with it. And that had something to do with how he treated you.
100%.
He went along with it, but
wait, why did he couldn't have children?
And so,
but wait, so then who were your brothers from?
So we all have different dads.
Oh.
And so, yeah, it's very cute. It's cute and fun and cute. So all my mom ever wanted her whole life was to be a mom.
Right.
And my mom ran away from home and was married at 14 years old to a 21-year-old. So for anyone who needs to hear that again, a 21-year-old man married a child. Right. And so she's just been through so much, and she always wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And yes, man who I thought was my dad was not.
Have you been around any 14-year-olds as an adult, Chelsea?
Yes, and maybe this you have the same experience. Yeah. It I don't want to say fucks me up, but it's like
it does.
when I look at a 14-year-old, it makes me realize how much should have not been happening to me.
Right.
But when you are 14, and at least I did, I really felt in control. You're an old soul.
Right.
You know, like you can
Same.
make decisions, blah, 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 blah. And then you see a 14-year-old and you're like, who the fuck would let that kid live alone for months?
Yeah.
Right.
I had this conversation with, Paul Shear,
right?
Because I asked about his kids and like what age they were getting to. Because for me, when my older daughter turned 14, which was how old I was when I was raped, I felt like I had like worked through all this stuff and had been really successful in so much of my therapy and all this stuff. And then literally like the summer that she was turning 14, I like lost my fucking mind because she was a baby, like an actual little baby.
Yeah.
And she's so similar to me. Like she's me in a child form, like in so many ways. She's her own person. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm not putting, you know what I mean? But just to see this tiny thing that looks like me, like how I looked at that. And then to have to like make it make sense in my brain of what I thought back then. And even when I wrote about it or any of my therapy that I've done, I still was like actually not seeing what a child I was.
Yeah.
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 And like, it's fucking crazy.
And to have it be your daughter, because I was at a friend's house who had a daughter and she was just like, hey mom, can I like have some money to like, you know, I don't know, to go do whatever she was doing. And I was like, like, I felt like I was like having a panic attack because
that was my whole summer of Birdie turning 14.
It's happened to me a lot with the boys where like, to the spirit of my mom, I'm so sorry that I'm like just talking all this stuff about you, but it's true. My mom's way of dealing with her feelings throughout my entire life was to like give me the silent treatment for like a really long time, like days. And
it's so cruel to a child.
It's so cruel. And like even she would even do it in like a really childish way where she would be like, it seems like someone's talking, but I can't hear them. Like the way that kids do that, like I can't hear you. And that has like just that feeling every time one of my kids has been contrite and tried to about something like I spilled juice or whatever, and then has like tried to hug me or whatever. And I've pictured myself like shunning them and walking away and then like not talking to them for a week. And I make myself like sick to my stomach going through just imagining that, you know, just imagining doing that to like a sorry little kid.
A child.
Yeah.
A child. Yeah.
It's so painful. And then I'm like, well, fuck, man. I mean, she was fucked up, you know? She was fucked up. And whatever happened to her that made her like that, like, I'm fucking sorry for that, you know? But
absolutely.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
And I'm sure both of you were called old souls, which is like, it really gets under my fucking skin where it's like, and people are still doing it. It's like, oh, she's an old soul. It's like, that is just another word for had to abandon childhood and become old very fast.
You know what's weird though? But you know what's weird though? I actually think both Eli and Birdie could fit under that like moniker or whatever. Like you could say that like wouldn't you say that when Eli was little, kind of?
He was like, he was so interesting because he was just so curious about the world and he had no fear. So like, I don't know if I ever thought of him as like an old soul. I just thought of him as like, you know what? I actually kind of thought of him as like a new breed of person where he just was like, I mean, one of my favorite stories about Eli is that like, I had him in like one of those front carrier, like baby carrier things on the subway. And I was so tired and he was like facing away from me. And I sat down in the seat on the subway and I spaced out or zoned out or whatever. And when I looked down, there was a man standing in front of us and he had like a very expensive like Burberry trench coat on. And I looked down and Eli was chewing the belt of the man's like trench coat. And I was like, oh my God. And I just said, oh my God. And then like, I was like, what do I do? You know? And so I started to like take this belt. Like the man didn't notice either. We both spaced. But Eli like laughed in such a way that I'm like, this infant is telling both of us, like, this is no big deal. Like in the scheme of things, it's no big deal. And we should all just laugh about it. And then the man laughed. And I just was like, he was always like that. He was always like doing something really kind of daring. Like he would always find the scariest person to go up to and be like, hey, why does your hair look like that? Why do you have like, that's like wild hair. What's going on there? You know, when he was just like a very little kid. And I was like, but it was out of genuine curiosity, you know? So I never really thought of him as like an old soul. I thought of him as like this new thing that I never saw before.
Yeah, I don't know. With Birdie, I do feel though, like she has always felt like, I don't know, maybe that is like my own projection or something. But she just always is like, when she was like 6 or something, I remember bringing her to New York. Oh my God, she was 6.
Yeah.
So I was co-hosting sitting in for Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find something to wear on the show. And I went to Marnie and I was like, just Bird, come into the dressing room with me. And she didn't want to. And I was like, okay, well, just don't go far.
Yeah.
And then I came out and I couldn't see where she was. Where is she? And the woman that had been helping me, and she's like, oh, she's over there with, so-and-so, like another woman that worked there.
Yeah.
And I look over and 6-year-old Birdie is sitting like with her legs crossed and her like her face on her hand and like
pose.
nodding at this like 24-year-old girl who like worked at the shop. And then I went over and I was like, hey guys, what's up? And the girl's like, oh, we're just talking. She was like asking me all these really like interesting questions about my life and like if I'm getting married to my boyfriend. And like she just like was always like that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I love that.
You must have heard Old Soul a lot through your life, Chelsea, because I just feel like you've always been a worker. Like I feel like you've always been working toward this thing.
Yeah, I definitely felt somehow that it was my way out. I mean, like I was writing a memoir, and I like you are both authors, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You like sometimes like go back to write a thing, and when it's on the page, it hits you for the first time. Like I began cleaning houses as a maid when I was 11,
right?
Because, but no one forced me to. I was like, we need money. Seems to be an issue in this house. I'm gonna go get some, and I made flyers and got myself hired. Like I was just like, I gotta.
Did you read the Babysitters Club books? Is that where you?
Of course. Oh yeah. No, I don't think well, I don't know. Maybe but yeah, I think to go back and be like, I'm sorry, who the fuck let an 11-year-old on all parts become a maid? But it really did save my life. I would need that money, and then I've been working ever since. I've had like 1,000 million jobs, and when I wasn't being like a waitress and a barista and a nanny at the same time, then that work ethic finally got to go into comedy when I was in my 20s. Yeah, but it just always felt like the only way out, like, was to overwork your way out of it. And now that I know what capitalism is, I see why that was the answer.
Right.
But yeah, I must have felt I just needed out. Yeah.
One part that really made me catch my breath a little bit because it was so familiar. And it was like, it wasn't even something that you really elaborated on, but you talked about maybe like skipping the school picture package to save your mom the money that it would have cost. And that was very much like, that was very familiar.
Yeah. And I think parts like that were hard for my mom to read because she's like, I would have found that money, but like when and I had a stepdad at the time who was just brutal. And so it's like we would all sit in the dark all the time to like save money on the electricity bill. Right. And like when that's happening, you're not going to ask for $50 to join the soccer team.
Right.
Which I think breaks my mom's heart now, but I was I think certain kids pick up on that and others don't. Certain kids are like, let me help you, and other kids
what's so interesting is because Cricket goes to private school, and after their whatever thing, like their school concert, we were at dinner and Mark said something about one of the kids who was in chorus who clearly hated it and didn't
Yeah.
want to be in chorus. And Cricket, without missing a beat, was like, well, they don't have to pay for an instrument. And I was like, huh.
Right.
And Cricket's like, I don't think that they wanted to ask their parents to pay for an instrument.
Right.
And Mark, and I was like, of course. And Mark was like, it never even occurred to him.
Right.
Yeah. Of
Right.
course.
It's kind of wild, just that this has been going on for so long and we haven't figured this out. I mean, I've talked about it before. I don't think I've written about it, but about like the pink, like reduced lunch laminated ticket, how I would like straight up just starve all year rather than like take out that free lunch ticket. Fuck that.
Of course. And also it's tiny things too. It's like on your birthday, your mom brings snacks and it's like, everyone knows what mom is bringing, what snacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? What snacks are coming in that day if you're a kid who's going to like panic about that or not panic about that. It's like we can't even give the teachers enough markers. And then they have to turn to the parents. And then if you're a kid of a parent where like that's going to be a burden for them, it's just so much stress so young to take on.
I do love that like they're trying now because, I do a lot of stuff with like No Kid Hungry and City Harvest. And with No Kid Hungry, when they implement it in public schools, which like the program's amazing, it's everyone across the board.
Right.
It's non-optional.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like breakfast is for everyone in the class. It's almost like school snack, like when you were a little kid and like or like in preschool when they would give you like your graham crackers and juice box or whatever. It's like everyone gets it. There's no special exceptions.
Right.
You don't bring your food. No one brings their food. And it like really does help because then the kids who are like facing instability at home don't feel like they have to not eat it because they don't want to be the kid who everybody knows is like not getting fed at home.
It's the argument that they always make for having school uniforms about how it's like an equalizer and like I'm like, okay, then why not food? Seems like food.
Yeah, why not food? And also those uniforms should be free then.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. We have to do a much better job of figuring it out. But it's also kind of nuts just we weren't kids that long ago, how recently. And I know it's hard. I know I really give it up to your mom. And you have such a sweet relationship with your mom. But I know how hard it is to talk about some of those things. Like the biggest fight my mom and I ever got into was like, I think my mom had to construct something in her mind to like even be able to like deal or whatever. But like as an adult, I was saying like we needed some repair done in our house or whatever. And my mom was like, she was being kind of, I don't know, she was being kind of something and it was pushing my buttons. And I was like, with all due respect, like your advice on how to deal with this is kind of wild considering we lived without a toilet for several months growing up. And she was like, she hung up on me. Like she would not talk to me. My husband talked her into talking to me again. But like the fact that I brought that up, that like I was going to the bathroom either like in our yard or like making excuses to visit the neighbor just so I could like go in their bathroom or like walking a mile away to like a gas station to go to the bathroom. But my mom just was like, when you said that was hard for your mom to hear about I was like, my mom was not ready to talk about that. And like, also I brought it up in a heated moment for like my first time even broaching that subject or whatever. But I give it up to your mom because like, just the fact that she supported you writing this book.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. Like, how much did you want her to read before you were finished and locked?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how much of it?
I wrote the whole thing before I showed her any of it. But there was enough room for her to read it and give me like thoughts and notes. And what I said to everyone who got it early, because I knew this was going to be a very like painful thing for my family, was I said, if anything didn't happen the way I have written it, I want to know. I do want to know. And no one remembers the same thing. No one goes into one incident and we all have the same memories of it.
Of course.
And I do think it was extremely hard for my mom, which is why I'm like, fucking kudos to my mom, because she's like shaking as she holds my hand through this of like, no, I'm going to support you. But I think a couple things I like learned writing this book is that like key to survival is delusion. In a positive way.
Right.
Like when you are a single mom and you've escaped 2 abusive marriages like my mom did, and you have no money and no resources and no one to turn to and no family, what makes you think you're going to continue another day? You've got to have a little bit of delusional hope. And that is why when I was like, Mom, were we homeless and living in an office building and had to go shower at the campsite? And she was like, that was just an interim thing. Like, you know, but it didn't even really hit my brain because my mom was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so you're like, this is just a temporary fun thing. And then later you're like, we were homeless. How funny.
Right.
You know, and I knew that, but your brain shuts down in times to help you survive. I think it's a very positive thing. And I think to untangle it is so hard.
But that's also why no 2 people in a family have the same recollection of traumatic events or even just stressful life situations, because we all build different stories in our brains to help us cope with it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we need to do that. And also my mom lived through so much worse than I did. So she really was doing better. And I think probably just so annoying for my mom is that both my brothers are just so chill and cool and lovely. And then she's got this fucking daughter that's like, I'm going to start a podcast and cry all the time and tell everyone all our shame. Like how painful for her. But she was really embarrassed of her story for a long time. I think the generation above us is like, you hide, you don't tell anyone. Resilience means going forward no matter fucking what. And that got passed on to me, but the shame was just killing me. And then I realized one day when I got into a Hollywood writer's room and heard people next to me saying their toddler's favorite food was sashimi, I was like, wait a minute. I like who I am.
Right.
I like who we are. I'm glad I grew up on libraries and mac and cheese. I'm proud of my mom. Like, I'm not embarrassed of this. And I hope all of that comes through in the book.
Well, I'm sure it does.
It definitely does.
Did you change or edit anything out that she was like, this is just a bridge too far, Chelsea?
No, I did not.
And she didn't ask you to, obviously.
No, I mean, weirdly, the biggest change is that like I had this massive surgery when I was 22 and she was like, you were not at Lovelace Hospital. You were at Presbyterian in New Mexico. And I was like, no, I was at Lovelace. And she was like, bitch, you were at Presbyterian. And I was so sure I was at Lovelace Hospital that I like called both hospitals for my records. And sure enough, I was at Presbyterian. So it's like that was changed in the book. And my mom's like, you dumbass, like you were on drugs.
You were deliriously sick.
I was the parent with you. I know what hospital we were at. So it was stuff like that. And then of course, other things, she just doesn't see it the same as me. Like stuff that I found really tragic, she didn't. And other things she's slowly been like, you know, I thought she says like, I thought you were cooked. I thought you were done. I thought you were like this adult who had it together when I didn't, you know, and I always hid that from my mom too. I hid all my pain. I always wanted my mom to be okay and amazing. And so I never let her know what was happening with me.
That makes sense. I mean, that's also like, yes, of course, like the child taking care of the parent.
That's the same as not asking for picture money. You know, it's kind of
it's
like
the adult version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's like, I would have given you that picture money. And how do you know I didn't have that $30? So it's, you know, it's fair. It's two perceptions of the same thing and both are valid. Was there anything that she just didn't know about at all that surprised her? Yeah. She was like, I hope this isn't too dark for people, but she was like, so being donor conceived really is the thing that fucked you up the most, because I really thought it was other stuff. She's like, but having read your book, like it's really the donor thing. And I was like, yeah, man, it is.
Well, maybe if you had known earlier.
And your mom said that she had told you when you were really little, but you didn't have a memory of it.
And to be fair, I've really interrogated it. I've gone back through every journal, every person around. I do believe she did tell me when I was 4 years old when she first got divorced. But we now know, well, first off, donor conceived children and adults, there's been less than 5 studies about us because it's hard to find us. They burned our records. They didn't keep our records.
Right.
The fertility industry is 100% unregulated still to this day.
Chelsea, you know that I have a friend who found out he was a donor baby from 23andMe.
Yes.
And also like who he thought was his biological father had passed away years earlier, but he had never felt a connection to his dad, had always had some issues with his father. And then even after the 23andMe came back, his mom fully was like, no, like would not admit it to him until finally, literally like almost on her deathbed, basically. She was like, well, we were having issues conceiving. The doctor did a thing, but then we kept having sex and then I got pregnant. So we just always assumed it was your dad.
But that's by design. So first off, the fact that you have a friend like this makes sense. Like we call in the donor community, Christmas and January sibling season because that's when ancestry tests go on sale and people give it out as a fun gift and you swab your cheek and realize what has happened. And there are an estimated 30 to 60,000 of us born every single year in the 80s when I was conceived. And they did it before and they did it after, but the doctors at the time truly believed that if the child knew, and sometimes if the dad knew, that they would love the child less. And to be honest, I think there is some science behind it. I think that is somewhat scientific. I don't know for sure. And so they told the parents to lie. They lied to the parents. They would do this thing called sperm mixing. Where
that's what they did with my friend.
Exactly. But they're basically mixing dead sperm with other sperm or not mixing at all, but telling parents. And so they created all this shame. So the parents are ashamed. The donor is anonymous. The doctors are there. The kids are taught to be ashamed if they ever find out. And so and again, it's federally and state not regulated. It's not regulated in the United States. So when people think they're picking a donor who says they are tall and kind and smart and went to Harvard, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not, though.
Or maybe it's one of my drug addict ex-boyfriends from high school.
That is, to be honest, I would put all my money on it being him, knowing what I know in the donor community. And like, even if he did fill it out being like, I am nice, funny, and kind and whatever. Think about every time you go on Raya or a dating app and a man is like, I'm funny. And then you meet him and you're like, you're the worst person in the world. Like these men are self-identifying as like, I'm good, I'm smart, I'm awesome. And it's like, well, someone else should be making those calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, obviously, like people are, is someone going to put that they're mid? Like I'm mid, I'm
money.
average.
I'm mid, I'm
mediocre.
average, but I am donating for money, which by the way, I found out the cost it was to make me with inflation, $50.
Wow.
At the time, $25.
Wow.
So that you have to donate a lot.
Yeah.
To really
which is why, and then
to afford Harvard, to afford fake Harvard.
Exactly.
Right. AKA Scottsdale Community College.
AKA no college, yeah.
But that is why there are so many like those stories that you see when you do see about donor babies where it's like, and there's like 50 siblings.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also, it's so wild. There's like 10 different documentaries from 10 different parts of the world and country of doctors who swapped out the sperm for their own sperm. So this is 10 men. They're not in a cult. They're not texting. Okay. That didn't exist.
They didn't even have message boards
on their
back
own.
then.
Yeah. On their own, they all decided, I'm going to swap out my sperm and create 100 children. I am the doctor doing this. And then aside of that, a donor conceived woman just came forward to talk about how she was in a relationship with her half brother for 5 years. because they both had the same donor and they didn't know.
Oh my!
And so I think it's really, really important
deeply uncomfortable.
to regulate the fertility industry, and it's so easy to do it. It's not everything is regulated.
Yeah.
So just regulate the fertility
also, by the
industry.
way, I thought that's like even surrogacy is regulated.
It is.
I don't know about surrogacy.
It is.
Yeah, I only know about
because
donor.
also like it's illegal still in some places. It was illegal in New York, and Michelle Buteau was part
Pennsylvania, I believe.
Well, she was
part of making it legal in New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
But of course it makes sense because surrogacy has to do with women's bodies.
Yeah.
And
I think it's actually paid surrogacy too. I guess if someone were to but how many people volunteer to be
like
a surrogate?
only if it's like family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's such a messy thing too, because it's like, of course they're gonna like regulate these women's bodies and but I think on the whole, you want the donor industry to be regulated so that your child doesn't accidentally date or marry or have sex with someone they're related to.
Or
like
so they
you
can
want
have
it to be regulated so that when you choose the donor, the qualities you're choosing are correct.
Right. And so that they can have some context for like going forward for their own health and
their own families. Like your medical records are so important. And I know there's a lot of people out there being like, well, I don't have my medical records. Okay, but you weren't created in a medical lab.
Right.
If you were creating how many forms do you have to fill out just to like get a checkup?
Just to get like a COVID
We
test.
don't need to don't throw those away just so that this child is never allowed to know what's inside them. I mean, there's genetic diseases they don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the same at all. But my dad was adopted by his dad. My grandmother had gotten pregnant by someone who, us talking about the stories that we make up and the stories that we tell to deal with things like that is what it's reminding me of. But yeah, even like a generation removed for me, there's so much that's just like a mystery, you know?
Yeah, and actually it is the same. Like the donor community and the adoptee community have really come together because we're fighting for a lot of the same rights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it affects generations and generations and generations. Like it's your whole family line. Yeah. So have I totally brought this podcast down, by the way?
No. I think it's so interesting, and I'm sure that so many people
will be able to relate and like maybe even have had a similar experience or in their own family. And like, wait, can I ask you a question? So it sounds like you're very tapped in. Like if somebody is listening and this is like part of their journey, but they don't know, where would people go to? Is there a community? Where do you?
Yeah. If you are donor conceived yourself, it's so tough because the first thing that'll come up in Google results is this horrible community run by an RP, which is a recipient parent. And recipient parents tend to have a lot of different views on donor conception. So what you want to find is We Are Donor Conceived. It's a Facebook group. There are 3 book magazine issues that truly changed my whole life. I still to this moment, every time I open a page, I start crying because it's like, it's just incredible. So join We Are Donor Conceived. It's only for donor conceived people. And listen to, it just came out. It's called Inconceivable. It is a journalist who found out he was donor conceived. And he really step by step walks anyone who is so confused by this through what this process looks like and what it takes to find your donor and what happens to other donor kids. And then there's a book called Inheritance that's really great. And now there's my book. And I will say my book is on a little bit of the angrier end of the scale. I've got some feelings. And if you are a parent of someone who is donor conceived, just do not keep it a secret. Communication is key, and how you talk to them is key. And a lot of people use donors because they think like, that's not a part of my kid. We buy it and then I have my kid, but like they're not a part of that kid's life. But your genetics, it's like what's that book where the duck is like, are you my mom?
Yeah.
Right, are you my mom? Like it is one of the basic traits of humanity is to want to know where you came from. It does matter where you came from. If it matters to your kid, that's totally fine. And just be open and talk to them about it because the shame is the worst part.
Oh, Magic Spoon. I was eating Magic Spoon last night when I got home.
I love Magic Spoon.
I had some the frosted flavor.
I love Magic Spoon so much.
I was very into it.
I've bought it to eat like in a hotel room before instead of like room service because I love it so much.
Well, I love it too. I love it too.
Magic Spoon, if you don't know, is like
cereal.
It's cereal, but it's like the fun.
They've
recaptured
the magic
of our childhood.
Cocoa, fruity, frosted peanut butter. But instead of it being,
full of sugar. And junk.
Magic Spoon has 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs, and 0 grams of sugar. High protein, no sugar.
Keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free,
and soy-free. So
and
it's doesn't hurt my tummy.
It doesn't hurt your stomach.
Even though I can crunch on it, how I love to crunch on cereal.
Crunching is such an ADHD thing.
I know.
Yeah, right?
I know it.
I love it so much. It tastes delicious and it's so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
I told you last week that I hide it in my office so that no one in my family finishes the box.
More. You can just buy them
I
some
know,
more.
but that's how good it is. It'll just be endless. And
you're going to want that variety pack too. I'm just going to tell you.
Yes. And they have many more flavors, by the way, but the variety pack is such a great starting point.
Because you can see which one really gets you going.
Yeah.
Fills the void for you.
You will love it. I love everything about Magic Spoon. And by the way, I've tried a lot of the other low carb, low sugar cereals out there, and some are good, but Magic Spoon is literally great.
It's the best. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product. They have 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they refund your money, no questions asked. Go to magicspoon.com/busy and grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code BUSY at the checkout, and you're going to save $5 on your order. Remember, start your day off right or end your day off right with a delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/busy and use the code BUSY to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode and our love of cereal. Oh, ZocDoc. We love you so much. You know how much we love you. But guys, we're heading into the summer season. You might be traveling. You might be visiting. You might be visiting people's parents. You might be bringing along those kids.
Yeah.
Those kids might end up with an ear infection from too much pool time. You're in wherever.
God knows where,
visiting your in-laws. They live in a retirement community. You're like, where's the pediatric ENT in town? Guess what? ZocDoc.
Yeah. I jacked up my back here while I was in New York, probably from just doing too much. And I got right on ZocDoc and I was like, who can I go to take a look at this and see what's going on?
And it's going to get me in right away.
It's going to get me in right away. And on a Saturday when we weren't working, found a physical therapist that was like, I can help you. So I got you.
If you don't know, if you've not heard us talk about ZocDoc before, it is a service that Caissie and I both have used for years. Years and years and years. I used it when the kids were little.
Yeah.
Little. Mm-hmm. You can find and book doctors who will make you feel comfortable, will listen to you, will take your insurance, can get you in. You don't have to wait 5 weeks to get in to see them.
You can read reviews of other users. It's everything. And for me, to take away that step of just cold calling doctors' offices.
For sure. And do you take my insurance? And can you get me in? You can search by location, availability, insurance. There's no compromises. With ZocDoc, you have more options. ZocDoc is a free app and a website. You can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. All these doctors have verified reviews from actual real patients. You can filter specifically for ones that, have the specialty you're looking for, who take your insurance. And the typical wait time to see a doctor booked through ZocDoc is between just 24 and 72 hours. That's it. Sometimes you can even get same-day appointments, which I have before, and I'm sure I will again. Guys, we use this. It's the greatest service out there. And I also just say, remembering the time when I was a parent and you're traveling with your kids in the summer, do not forget about ZocDoc. It will change your life. Get prepared. Go to ZocDoc.com/doingherbest and download the ZocDoc app for free. And then you can find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/doingherbest, ZocDoc.com/doingherbest.
We use ZocDoc and you should use it too.
Can I tell you, Chelsea, I literally, like, even in just talking to you a little bit about this, so I have my cousin is a gay man and is married, and like they want to have babies,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And they like think that they want to do it via surrogacy and like an egg donor, right? Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him and I was like, he and I look so much alike. You know, we're like, he literally looks like he could be like my twin brother. And actually when he dresses in drag,
okay, we love that.
So much like me.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I should just fucking harvest my eggs and then it can be your husband's sperm and then it's just like, you can just have that baby. You know what I mean?
Have you thought about
like,
it? But do
I
you
have
think
thought
that
about
would
it.
be hard for
I got to
you?
tell you,
I don't know.
I am all for known donors change everything. Truly. To know who your donor is your whole life psychologically is such a gift for a child.
Well, it's also like the DNA would be like we're
within the family.
related.
Absolutely.
We are
Right.
related.
Yeah, right.
And like, and we obviously have so much
Yeah, shared DNA.
shared DNA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm old. He literally was like, I mean, you are kind of old though. I was like, yes, but like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was, and then I was, and then you would have like a kid that had both your and your husband's DNA.
Yeah. It's really,
Yeah.
it's very.
It's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea. And I have always wondered, like, would it be like how, like, I have a friend from school that has been, she's been a surrogate a number of times and has carried a bunch of children. And she just like, it's like what she was born to do. Like, aside from, and she has her own family that she loves very much.
But don't you think, like, even if it was my egg, I couldn't carry a baby. No fucking way.
Right,
We all know that I
right.
gain 100 goddamn pounds when I get pregnant. And also, I'm too old for that.
Yeah, sure.
But like, don't you think if it was like my family, I don't know, and I got to see the kid, I don't know if it would be hard. Like,
I don't know.
actually
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
why I'm
think-
asking.
As a donor conceived person, if I got to grow up knowing, I can't do the math here because I don't know enough about families. You're the aunt?
I would-
the
Well, like, no, like, I would be
the
like
second cousin.
second
first,
cousin,
second cousin. Yeah.
basically.
If I got to grow up and know, like, oh, like this is my donor created by my dad's, like, and I get to know you from the jump, that is the biggest gift I could ever have in life.
Oh, wow. See, that's really valuable information, I think, for
It's
anyone
just
that's
like-
ever considered it.
Yeah, it's identity. Like, just think about being a kid. It's like the sky is blue, the grass is green, that is my mom, that is my dad.
Yeah.
Like, these things are just so key to create internal stability in a human being.
Yeah.
And when that changes on a kid, and in donor communities, it's almost always anonymous.
Right.
That it's a hard psychological toll. And then here's the thing with science now, the chance, especially now, the chances that your kids are going to find their donor one day are very high.
Right.
Oftentimes the donor is then like, fuck you, I'm going to sue you. I have my own family. Now imagine going through that experience. You're trying to find your dad or your mom and they are cruel to you or block you or run from you. That's hard. Now let's say they do want to meet you. Don't you want to have known who your child's about to meet? Because there's a man on TikTok who created 96 children, and he's TikToking about it, and he did it because he like got drunk and like wrecked his college campus and needed money for his lawyer. But on the form, college kid,
Right.
blonde, blue-eyed, 6 feet, you know. And don't you want to know who your kid is going to grow up and meet one day and say that this is the human who created me? Don't you
Right.
want to have a say in who that is?
Right.
Yes.
My son did 23andMe, and literally within like moments of getting his first report back was able to figure out who was the father of my father, and like was instantly connected with family members. And we reached out to them and they all immediately blocked us on social media. And I was like, what? I get it, because they didn't know, they didn't.
Course, but it's painful.
Yeah, it's hard just because you just want to know. How about you? Do you want to know? I mean, it sounds like you, okay,
but it is so. I like get emotional talking about it.
Yeah.
It is. So I really went down the journey of finding him. It was so intense, and every like. Kind of like a rock I overturned was like, there's like a new horror.
Yeah.
And I just decided that, I mean, I've had some really horrific father figures in my life. And so the idea of finding another one does not feel survivable to me in this moment. And I think I've just decided like, until I know I can survive the worst case scenario.
Right.
I don't know if it's good for me to do this, because in the donor community, listen, there's not enough studies for me to say this is truth, but anecdotally, what I know from being around, the worst case scenario feels high.
Yeah.
It feels likely. And it's things like, am I going to find out he's a rapist? Am I going to find out I have 100 siblings? Am I going to find out he's a doctor who's assaulting his patients? Am I going to find out he's dead?
Right.
Is he going to block me? Is he going to sue me? Is he going to be horrible to me?
Right.
Like,
is he going to come after me for like, because I'm in Hollywood?
Right.
No, for reals. I know. So this is the thing that really fucks me up. I met someone whose donor conceived. They knew their whole life, and which was so lovely. And they said, and then I contacted him, and he was like, "Can you pass my screenplay on?"
Oh
and
my God.
Like, honestly, I think that is the worst case. I think of all of them.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario would be like, I've written a screenplay. Can you pass it on to Busy Phillips? Like, or what if he's a Trump voter? Like, it's a lot. And I do think I'm going to want to do it. But like, it's not
right now.
I am just getting used to talking about it on a podcast without having a full body breakdown.
Right.
And so I'm just kind of going to go step by step and go slowly.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's a lot. And I have friends who are adoptees who, have never had contact with their birth family. And they talk about, a lot of them, I feel like universally talk about dreams that they have of they have dreams of like meeting their, not aspirations, like literal sleeping dreams where, they're just.
My book comes out in 7 days. I have had the worst, most fucked nights of my life. Like, I mean, like it is, and I used to deal with really, I have CPTSD, and the intrusive thoughts and nightmares used to be like crushing, and I've really, really worked through that. But putting the book out was sort of like, JK, we're reverting.
Yeah. Right.
We're breaking through the meds. We're pushing through those meds, and you're going back to childhood. But, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. Chel.
Well, here's the thing, Chelsea, and I would just offer to you, and because I obviously like had my own things when my book came out, and it is so you do feel so exposed. It's like, it feels a little crazy. I remember this. I was like panicked, basically leading up to the book coming out. And then like in the immediate aftermath, still kind of panicked. Yeah. And then I think really when I started doing the book tour, and I mean, which was very truncated, but hearing from people who had similar experiences, who felt so seen for the first time. Like, you know what I mean? Like the gift that you're giving to so many people will be immeasurable. And once I like had that shift in perspective, which I think you probably already know on some level, but once you start to see it in actuality with people and hear from people, it will act as like a poultice to all of the other stuff, the fear and the anxiety and the like emotional hangover of exposing your real life trauma.
I love that. Thank you. And it's funny, right before I got on this podcast, I've been posting just the first sentence of each chapter and like 9 pics that go with that time in my life. And today's chapter is the chapter about being donor conceived. And I already got a couple DMs of people being like, oh my God, like NPE, it's like a non-paternal event, not non-parental event. So they're like, oh my God, I'm an NPE. And I have to read this. And every time I get to meet another person like me, I feel so wonderful because I felt alone my whole life because I was keeping it a secret.
And I'm sure there are so many women and people our age who also feel that way right now and then are going to read that sentence, going to hear about the book through all the press you're doing, are going to find the book because they think you're fucking funny or they love Jon Stewart or whatever, and then have that, be able to have that, and you are doing that for, I mean, thousands of people, thousands. We don't know how many people, you know?
10
at least 10.
At least 10.
I mean, no, thank you. Thank you both. This is so lovely. I also like, what an amazing pep talk to receive, like, you know, while you're in the panic stage, while you're in the, like, how much Xanax is healthy to take stage, which is the stage I'm in. Thank you. And yeah, I've been thinking a lot about you both because you've both put books out and busy in your memoir. And Caissie, you gave me such great advice, like, when I was writing it and putting it out, and like, yeah, it's a beast to do this. Do you think you'll ever, to both of you, Caissie, do you think you'll ever memoir, Busy, do you think you'll ever write a second one?
Oh my God, wait a minute. My co-star just popped up, you know, that app?
Yeah.
This is fucking wild. Really, I mean, our phones are listening to us, right? But you guys, it just says, your day at a glance, all truths that are kept silent become poisonous.
Shut the fuck up.
There you go.
Okay, co-star, you fucking
co-star.
slut. Have you been reading my book?
I think I will probably
I think you will.
write a memoir.
I think you will.
I mean, I've been making notes and like, you know, I just think that since my mom passed and I'm kind of like everywhere where I am right now in terms of like family and friends and everything is like for the first time in my life is all my own choices and my own doing. And I think that there's a lot there's a lot of trauma there, and there's a lot of things that I haven't even like poked at you know, that I haven't for whatever reason. Well, for the reasons that we're talking about, like we had to fucking survive. And it's just like, I think the reason why I would write it, I think that what had prevented me before is because I wanted to like preserve as much of my relationship with my mother as I could while she was here.
Absolutely.
But now and that's why I love your relationship with your mom, because that's kind of the relationship I wish I could have had with my mom, but we just didn't. And she just you know, she couldn't. Yeah. And she did the best she could. And I'm not mad at her, per se. There are things that I'm mad about, but I think it was just fairly average. Like all of these things that we're talking about that sound wild and extraordinary, like they literally weren't. They weren't. Like every kid around me probably had a comparable something.
Well, wait, this was like when Mark Maron said to me when I went on to his podcast, and he's like, and I was reading the chapter in your book where you talk about the guy and the sexual assault, and I was just like, every girl I knew in high school had that story of losing her virginity that way. And I was like, yeah, Mark, that's real fucked.
That's the thing,
like,
you know?
Yes.
It's like when Me Too happened, I had a great, I mean, genuinely, a guy who you would think this is one of the good ones. And he was like, I'm sorry, so it's every girl I've ever known? And you're like, I know that's probably mind-blowing for you, but yes.
Yeah. It's
every woman in your life is tweeting that. And Caissie, I totally get waiting. And I think to go back is really, really hard. And you have to have so many resources to hold your hand through it. And me and Busy are here. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think waiting for the right moment is correct. And my mom did say to me, you know, most people wait till their moms are dead to do this. But okay. So
even then it's hard though. I will say, because I'm like, am I disrespecting my mom? And then I'm like, at some point, like I just said this to a friend of mine whose mom passed away and he had to sell her house. And he was feeling guilty about that because she hadn't made any plans for it. And she said, like, don't sell my house. Like, she just expected him to like live in this house that in a place where he doesn't even live or whatever. And he was feeling so bad about it. Terrible. And so I said to him, I was like, I'm not super religious, but I believe that whatever happens to us when we die, like our love becomes so perfect, like beyond our understanding, that we immediately understand all the things that we couldn't understand in life. And we're so far beyond
Yes, I agree with
these
that.
things that we asked of our loved ones while we were there. And so like now I just have to apply those rules that I said to my friend to myself, to be like, my mom doesn't give a fuck if I like tell, this wild story about how we had no toilet for months, and even though she was so pissed,
and it's yours to tell.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, that's the other thing too.
It really is.
Is that like, at what point do you stop? At what point in your life do you allow yourself to stop caretaking your parents?
Right. Yeah. Which, and I think that we can all identify. Yeah. And like, it's so wild because we LOL at TikTok all the time, but there's so many things that I know just because they like came up in my feed of like some fucking therapist on TikTok being like talking about parentified children who were like, like I did the grocery shop, like I collected the child support from my father when he paid it. And I used that money to grocery shop, when I was like 12, and so those are weird things, but again, like totally not alone, totally like
absolutely.
I bet there's, at least 10, as we were joking about earlier, at least 10 people listening to this being like, oh shit, me too. I had to get that $40 from my dad and do the grocery shopping.
And having another like every time I've ever, like when I saw myself in this Donor Kid magazine,
oh my God.
I don't know how to explain it. I was never okay until that moment.
Yeah.
Because I also felt it's like, oh my God, we had 2 dads before I found out my other dad. It was a broken home. Like, that's got to be the weirdest fucking shit that is so weird. Only to find out it's a lot of us. And you go, oh, anytime someone has ever reached out to me being like, oh my gosh, me too. Anytime I've ever reached out to someone else, I'm like, me too. I feel like it's the most healing thing that can ever happen because you're just not alone. You think you are and you're not. I love what you're saying, Caissie. It's like, yes, there's some other kid out there who's like, I have also shit in a bucket.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you for seeing me.
Right. And it's like, and I know you have had this experience. I know we've talked about it. I know Busy and I have talked about it a number of times. Like, you do, like it fuels the funniness and it fuels the fire to try to like, I think make something out of all of this, and like and humor is the direction that we've all chosen to go in. But I also know that you've sat in a room telling a story that you thought was hilarious from your past, only to have everyone else like
get quiet
and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I'm like, no, this is one of my best bits. Like this is
100%. And I mean, how did I like come from where I come from and like get to the places I've been? And I just think pain and anger are incredible engines.
Yeah.
And for a long time, they really served me well to pour myself into comedy, Yeah. And now I think I'm at the place in life where I have to decide when pain and anger are actually not helping me anymore.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
It's time to put it down and tell the serious story.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing. Well, I'm really excited for the book to come out and for you to have, I think the panic will turn to catharsis and you will start to, and then there will also still be panic sometimes. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah, I cannot imagine there won't be, but I can't wait for you both to read it. It comes out on June 4th, so it's so soon.
It's so exciting. I can't wait for my book
to like pre-order it. And also, Chelsea, you and I are going to do a book club with it, So if you're interested in that, if you subscribe to our Substack, we'll do like a free event, but we'll give people a little time to order the book, get the book, read the book.
Maybe July.
Yeah, sometime.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like a little book club where people can like ask you their questions and maybe tell you a little bit of their stories. And
I just would love that so much. And thank you for offering to do that. Also, Also, I would attend a book club with you about any book. So the fact that it's not mine, my God. And yeah, please pre-order it. It's all publishers care about. I also did the audiobook. So it's my longest podcast yet.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm really now, guys, I just recently realized with my ADHD, I always was like, I can't listen to audiobooks because I just get too distracted and I'm like doing something else. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I've listened to 3 chapters. What did you say?
Oh my God.
But I've recently started doing a combo of reading.
Yes.
And then listening. And I find that if I start reading, I can then listen and retain.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I love that.
That's interesting.
I do sometimes have to go back.
Yeah.
It's also so good to do that with like Mariah Carey's book or singers because it's like, oh, you get to read the book, but then they start singing when you start listening to the audiobook. Like, I love that experience.
Yes, I listened to Tori Amos's book. I read it and listened to it.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Intense.
And I think that, well, interesting enough, I think that these are kind of like also ADHD techniques, like listening and reading and also sometimes copying down, like transcribing yourself or typing up notes or whatever are ways to like retain something. So I bet you're like really getting like more in your brains than you ever have before with your little combo.
It's interesting. Wait, you know what somebody told me the other day? I just want to bring this up real fast because, you know, ADD. I was like, fuck, I can't remember anything anymore. Like, I don't even know. Like, what was that person's name? Da, 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 da. And Michelle said to me, and I don't know if this is true. I haven't Googled it. She was like, it's because we now take in more information in one day than we used to take in a month.
Yes.
That's probably true.
100%.
That tracks to me.
That plus pandemic equals Mariah Carey time.
Yep, that's right.
You know what I mean? Like, are we supposed to hold on?
By the way, you guys, what happened to Britney
anything?
Spears' jewelry?
What
Did you see
No.
on Instagram?
Her jewelry?
No, I just saw the one where she said, which, God, I did an episode interpreting her Instagram, and a part of me wants that to be my full-time job. But she just said, I thought Rosetta Stone was only for Spanish.
Oh my God.
And
Chelsea,
I was like,
remember
but, like,
when we were
amazing...
deep in the Britney conspiracies when we were like, her eyelashes spell help?
That's right.
And
oh my God, I remember. Yeah, we were like,
yeah,
those were dark times.
We were like gonna go to Thousand Oaks and get her, like you and me.
We were ready to drive. Yeah. What happened to her jewelry though?
What happened to?
Wait, I'm looking. I'm trying to get it.
Busy's trying to look it up. Did someone steal her jewelry? Did she get bling ringed?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's from 14 hours ago. So you can see for real, all my jewelry was stolen. It's hard to buy new now because I'm scared it will all go missing. So I buy cheap and fake, but it's hard because some of my pieces were originally made for me. My baby cross that I wore since I was 4 is gone. It's so thin. But like, she's just showing like,
oh
wait,
no.
you can't hear. You can show Chelsea on my.
Oh my gosh.
Here. You can say press watch again.
It's just, she's just showing her empty drawers.
No.
Her jewelry drawers are all empty.
But I want to. There's a thing with Britney where she never includes context. So I want to know, like, it could have been years ago when that happened. It
Right,
could have been
right.
last week.
Right. Or it could be like all at like someone's house and, you know, like someone could have told her they were taking her jewelry for safekeeping or
But
something.
God, I just want to be her manager so bad to come in and be like, we have set up a P.O. box 1 state away. And if you'd like to send Britney Spears some jewelry, you can.
Yeah.
Just let it flood in and bring it to her house. I think she would love to like open those packages. I want to get in there. I want to start doing some good work.
And that would be like
I'm ready
good
to pivot.
content. I'd want to watch her open the packages and, you know,
and she
I
might
just
wanna
want
do
her to be
it.
happy. Like
That's
talk
all I
about
want.
all of this like trauma and just like fucked up stuff that happened to a person. And
yeah. Well, and when people look at her Instagram, you know, they get worried or like, what the hell is this? But all I want to say to them is like, trauma is not a feeling. It scientifically scrambles your brain like it's a fucking egg. It moves time and space and facts around. It's so hard to process. And when she is talking, you're watching someone who's been traumatized and in prison of her father's making for 11
Right.
years. Like that is what a traumatized brain looks like. So stop calling her weird or being like shitty about it.
Yeah, we just want her to be happy and like feel safe and feel like she can trust the ground under her feet, and then she can do whatever she wants. That's how I feel about all of us. I feel like we all
fucking same. Prayers up for all of us on that count.
And how are things with the CPTSD?
So much better. I was in a really dark place for my entire life. And then I found a trauma-informed therapist who changed my life. And I used to think I used to think it would be better to be dead than for people to know the information that's inside that book. And now I'm on a podcast begging you to buy it. And that is such a change. It truly feels like a miracle in my bones.
Right.
Like I just feel like, and so it is for anyone out there who's like sitting on something that just is killing you. This is the dumbest thing to say,
was
but
literally bleeding.
Yes. My butt was literally bleeding for some of this. Stress is a funny thing, but I just like, it really is possible to come out of it. That is something I never, ever, ever would have believed 10 years ago. It truly felt impossible. And so that is the gospel I'm bringing of like, man, it is possible. And working with a trauma-informed therapist really helped me. And getting on those sweet, sweet meds, my God, I was so afraid of them. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to be funny anymore. And it's going to change my personality. And no, my personality got better. Can you believe?
I can't believe it, actually.
It's going real. And oddly, my podcast, this is so weird, but like my podcast has helped me so much because I've been processing these other women's messy stories.
Yeah.
And doing that in a community in the book club we have on the Patreon, like has just been like aggressively healing in a way I never saw coming.
To me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, it's celebrity memoirs. We've got comedy, but we get really deep on the podcast now. And Busy, I am never doing your book unless you come on.
Yeah, I'm anytime.
Okay. Well,
I'm not kidding.
I'm bringing you on then. Yeah. Because I was like, I can't do Busy's. Caissie, Busy, we're coming on. We're doing your book. Yeah. So it's been really great. And I'm excited to meet people. I'm going on tour. I'm going on a fucking book tour.
That's so exciting.
I'm doing shows, but I'm also teaching a writing workshop.
That's really great.
That's awesome.
I'm a workshop slut. Were you a workshop slut?
I love a workshop.
I love a workshop. Yeah,
I love a workshop,
so I like,
and I love a retreat.
I want to do a retreat.
Yes.
We still want to do it, guys. I know we've talked about it for years now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'll be there. RSVP.
Okay, let's do.
Why don't and my dog?
Why don't we like band forces and do like
I think we should
retreat or something?
I think we should, guys.
We can make Ashley come if the two of us.
Ashley would love it. Dolly would. I mean, listen, I'm open. I'm open to suggestions.
I think this all sounds good. I mean, like I feel like we all let ourselves get kind of busy doing other things, which is like probably a CPTSD symptom. It's probably ADHD symptom. They probably are good friends, ADHD and CPTSD. So I think we allow ourselves to get busy doing things that we're supposed to do or that we agreed to do or whatever. And so we keep putting this idea off. But if we decide to like co-do it, then we'll be depending on each other to like get it done. I think love we that. Should do
and
it.
If we get Ashley Nicole Black in there, she can work an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
She's like, what am I doing here? Like, I did not start a podcast. What have you done? But we're like, hey, you're also at this retreat.
My God. This is true about Ashley Nicole Black. Ashley gets talked about more than probably anyone else on this podcast. She's been on it twice, but she's on every episode. But this is true about her. Like if you're going on like a girls' weekend or whatever with her, she makes like an Excel spreadsheet and she's like who's bringing what,
the groceries
who's
and
doing
all that. Yeah, I need that.
Also,
so it's not all cheese, no liquor,
which I would be all liquor, no cheese. But Ashley is a full chapter in my book.
Yes.
Aww.
Yes.
Her name is a chapter title.
So if you can't get enough Ashley on this podcast,
then in my book.
I have good news. You can read all about her in
And maybe the retreat is just called the Ashley Nicole Black Retreat.
I like this branding. This is strong branding.
She won't mind. She won't care.
She don't mind.
Can you imagine? This is so stupid. I love it so much.
They're like, what? I'm going on the Ashley Nicole Black
Ashley
retreat
Nicole Black camp.
for Busy's doing her best and Glamorous Trash podcast.
Wait, I did see that Heather McMahon is doing like a cruise.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing. I mean,
Jonathan Colton
I'm
does
not
a
doing
cruise
that.
too.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that JoJo cruise is like huge, but
Yeah.
no. I'm.
We're ruling out cruise, right?
It's
I worked on a cruise
it's
for
an
4 months.
absolutely not for me.
That's a
We
no.
could do.
That's a
Let's
no.
do a land.
I've seen Under the
cruise.
Boat.
a land
A
cruise.
land cruiser. We
Right.
all rent land cruisers.
We can do the activities of a cruise, but we're just staying on land and we're not.
Okay,
getting,
actually,
You know what
that
my
is
vibe is?
fucking genius.
I agree. Wait, Chelsea, you know what my vibe is because of you and me and our connection to the American Southwest?
Yes.
I think we should do like that, like B-52's lady place, like something like that, like in Joshua Tree, where it's like
where
a
she
bunch
has
of
like
a ranch.
she has all the Airstream trailers.
Yeah, instead of
That's
doing
right.
like tradish camp, which I never fucking went to. Well, I mean, infamously, I went to 1 week of Frenchwoods Festival of the Performing Arts and stayed the entire week in the infirmary with mono. But anyway, and then was sent home. I think we should do like a
Southwest glamping Airstream trip.
Yes.
Yes, I'm so into this. And the Southwest does not get enough fucking attention.
No.
It
And
is
it's
the
the
most
best.
magical
And
place.
healing.
And
Healing.
honestly, New Mexico, we needs your economic help. So let's get our asses there because that New Mexico State, I know you're Arizona busy, but I'm New Mexico and New Mexico State logo is the land of enchantment. Come on.
They're
Don't
not
we wanna go
lying.
to the
No, but
land
I
of
love
enchantment?
I'm just a desert rat, like,
Yeah.
and a lizard.
Any red rock and cactus, like I'm there.
Give me it. And I mean, Caissie always makes fun because I literally am like a lizard. I will lay on a hot rock.
Oh, same. It's so lovely.
It's so relaxing. I will lay down on hot rocks. In fact, we were filming Girls Five Eva last year. And I think Sarah took a picture of me because we were filming in New Jersey at this like really fancy house. And they had like weirdly like a giant bowl, like I don't know. It was like in their circular driveway. They had like these giant boulders. I think like, I don't know.
They had giant boulder money.
They had giant boulder money.
Okay,
And she just took a picture of me just like laying in my wardrobe, just out flat on this rock. And she was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's a hot rock. Obviously, I'm going to lay down on a hot rock."
Yes. You get the sun from the top. You get the heat from the rock. You are attached to Mother Earth.
I'm like,
I get it.
it's a hot rock. Okay, I
Put
think
2
that's
crystals
the move.
in your hand. You're a new woman.
Now it's all coming together for me. Now I see it.
Yeah.
Before I was like, I
Not
don't know. I
sure.
don't like a tick. I don't like humidity. I don't
No,
want
we
to.
got to go home. We
No,
got to
no.
go to the Southwest.
We have to do the Southwest. That's where it is. It's like Taos.
Let's
I
get
don't know.
Jada Pinkett Smith to visit and take us all on an ayahuasca trip.
Oh my God.
I am fully kidding, but she does do ayahuasca every 2 weeks. But
Every 2
And
Every
ayahuasca
2
is-
weeks?
yeah, I know. Why was that not the headline from her book? I mean, fuck this Will Smith stuff. She be doing ayahuasca, which I believe she called it was like Lady, what did she call it?
Lady A.
Lady A. No, she was calling it Mother something, Mother T. It was something something
Oh
weird
my
like that. But she does it every 2
goodness.
weeks. Explain some things.
Wait, but also that is the one thing I do want to say about ayahuasca that like anybody that I know who's like very into it, they're like, it's changed my life. My trauma's gone. I'm like incredible. I do it like probably every month. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Peta,
I'm sorry,
absolutely
every 3
not for
weeks?
me. Absolutely not for me.
No.
No way. Oh, she
I
calls it in
can't-
ceremony. She is in ceremony.
Oh,
every
in
2
ceremony.
weeks.
Okay.
That's a lot of motherfucking ayahuasca.
I've watched documentaries about it, and the amount that people vomit,
Oh, yeah,
shit
yeah,
their
yeah.
pants, and have heat stroke is like
Is 99%.
yeah, I can't. I'm
no,
like
thank
not
you.
willing to vomit or shit my pants, even for enlightenment.
I would take ayahuasca and all of a sudden like J-Lo would be wandering through my brain like that serial killer movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, she's like in all those gowns and she's like in a serial killer's brain. And it's just like, I don't need to see that.
Wait, Chelsea, while we have you here, before we let you go, what the fuck is happening with her and Ben? What do you think? What's happening?
It is 100% they are not going to make it. But
No.
here's what I have to say about it. The key to understanding J-Lo, and where you're like, what the fuck is going on, is her taste. And we don't understand her taste because she's given, I'm real, I'm Ginny from the block, I'm the hottest, sexiest person alive. But what's coming out of her is, I am pumpkin spice latte, pillows that say all day that slay. I have a Starbucks cup that is bedazzled and I carry it with me every fucking where. And the fact that this woman put that documentary out, and I say this woman because Ben didn't want to do it, and now they are going to break up? No. Pretend, motherfuckers. Pretend for 2 more years you are both actors. Pretend, lie. Don't you ever dare. Don't you fucking dare. That being said, on my podcast, I called it. I said, now that you've made this documentary, it's over, I promise. And it is.
Oh my God.
It is. Have you seen Atlas?
No. I was so rooting for them. Here's the only way that I can accept this is that I can only accept it is that if I feel like they part friends. Like I can't have any, I hope it's not acrimonious.
I think it's acrimonious.
I hope they can part friends and he's friends with all the Jennifers he's been married to. I'm like, no fucking way. You guys are not allowed to break up. And if you do, you never get to come within her radius. But back to that taste thing, couples who have such different taste in that way, I don't think you can make it. Like, and I said, did you see Atlas? Because in what world was he next to her reading that script being like, you should do this? And she's like, yeah, let me leave my new love of my life to go shoot this fucking pile of garbage. Right.
Like, it just, none of it makes sense.
My take on it is that whatever happens with them behind closed doors or whatever is like very real. But I don't think that the public personas that they both embody, I think his is more accurate to who he is.
Right.
And I think exactly like you're saying, like her taste, what she likes, like all of those things. Like I think that they connect. Okay, like you guys, I'm really thinking about this. Like I think they connect like on like a cellular level, like on a different level. Yes. And I think that is what keeps drawing them back to each other.
Yeah. It doesn't work when it's exposed to light or air.
Yes. But like in the real world, it's like those couples who they're like they meet someone, they're fucking in love, they love this person, it's been like a month, they bring them around to their friends, and then all of a sudden they're like, I fucking hate them, I'm breaking up with them.
100%. Or you stayed with them for 2 more years like I did in a relationship. But yes, 100%. And you know what? I think there is one little Venn diagram where their taste and desires meet, and that is his back tattoo of an ugly phoenix and her music video about their relationship. Those live in the same quadrant, and everything else, it's Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. It's Romeo and Juliet. It just can never work.
It's Romeo and Juliet. It is Dunkin' and Starbucks.
Do you know on Watch What Happens Live, I feel like a small part of this history, because we asked J-Lo, like when they were fully broken up, we asked J-Lo what she thought of the back tattoo, and she said it was ugly and that he puts too many colors in his tattoos and it was tacky. Then he responded by saying it was a fake tattoo for a role. But then
it is not. It
never was. And then
I remember when he tried to pretend like it was fake. That was
and listen, I would too. If I turned around and I said, "Oh, you did that," it's fake. It's for a role.
Oh my God. But it's just, it reminded me of such a little kid thing to do, to be like, I didn't. It was a man came in here and
but also, you know what? Pharrell got all his tattoos lasered off, and he got new human skin grafted onto his arms. This is real. You can look it up. To erase those tattoos. And if Pharrell can do it, Ben Affleck, what are we waiting for, my guy?
Wow. Well, he was not waiting for anything because he loves the tattoo.
He clearly loves
What if he was waiting for tonight?
Oh my God. I remain rooting for them. I just hope I hope it's not ugly. And I just like now
I don't want it to be true.
I'm looking toward like a renaissance for both of them to like, I feel like she's facing some weird kind of backlash that like people are
she's facing a lot of backlash.
People are like, she's mean and blah, blah, and they're like trying to, and I'm like, I've met her a bunch of times and she's never been anything but.
Also, this is every woman who feels too close to the sun. They're like, kill her! Shoot her with arrows. And yes, and I understand that she is doing a lot and it's too much and some of it is annoying, but like, she doesn't deserve what she's getting.
Yeah. And I saw people making a big deal out of, I guess on set, she spit her gum into like a PA's hand or whatever, and they were making a huge deal out of that. And I was like, you don't understand that I've like gone up and reached into a celebrity's mouth to take the gum out of their mouth, like when they're shooting something. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
I mean, that is just like nothing on the scale of things that happen on set. That being said, she is too insulated. She doesn't have a young intern in there being like, don't do that.
We don't like. I mean, spit the gum, but not in front of camera. I guess.
Oh yeah, or I mean, Ashley just sent me this yesterday where JLo's like, oh my god, so many people are DMing me that I have a billboard, so I got to go see it for Atlas.
Yeah,
First off, you're checking those. So many people are DMing you. Like, no, stop this. You're not checking. Whatever. Okay, then she's like, you guys, let's go see it. I'm on board, and then it cuts to drone footage, and it's like. Stop pretending.
Right.
Like, that is her problem. Like, just be real. Be like, I have a fucking billboard up. Let's go see it. And then cut to the drone footage.
Right,
but don't be like, oh my God, you guys, I just like drove up today and I sent my drone into the sky and he's going to get a sky shot.
Oh my goodness.
This morning, my friends were DMing. No.
I will say that when I sat next to her at the Golden Globes that one year when she was married to Mark Anthony, who did not speak the entire night, except like just into her ear. And but like it was an energy. It was an energy. But she was sitting next to me and she did at one point, she was just like looking at her phone and she's like, oh, it's so sweet. My cousins are all texting me, telling me how beautiful I look. And she like showed me her phone. Aww. And it was like really cute.
Yeah.
People were really texting her to tell her she was beautiful. You know what I mean?
Okay. Maybe she was
cute.
About the
I know her to be funny. I mean, I don't know her well. I've only met her like a handful of times. I find her funny. She's always been super friendly to me. She's super loyal to Leah Remini, her bestie.
We need to talk to Ben? You guys, is it us? Do we need to talk
an
to
intervention?
him?
I'm down for that.
Just like we gotta figure it out.
I think, I think
it's her.
I think all. My theory is that he got a little work done, and he got a little face work done.
Okay,
and then I think he had maybe a little slide back. That's my theory. That is sorry guys. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm just, but this is,
but
I think about this. This is my Roman empire.
Right.
JLo and Ben.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking about them all the time.
I'm thinking about them a lot. I'm analyzing. I have I have a group thread that's literally named the Affleck fan club. But like,
I want them to be okay.
I do too. But that is like, to me, there was like a thing that happened. There was a chasm with the movie thing.
Yeah.
Where he was like, oh, Jesus. And like his friends probably were like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then he gets the work done, maybe a little backsliding.
Right.
And she's like, because she has none of that.
Yeah.
But just like the way he kind of at that roast looked like a little like.
Look like a man going through something, if not a breakup. But I actually do think I think they really did tell us the problem in the documentary, which is that he said, when we got back together, I said, I don't want a social media relationship.
Right.
And he's like, but she loves social media. But here's the thing. Then to be like, no, but I'm on social media, so we will be photographed and stuff. She then had to make the entire documentary about him and their love. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Right.
That's
it feels
you don't have to do that when your partner has
It does feel disrespectful.
Yeah. Right. Of course it's going to crumble under that pressure.
But though, also, guys, don't you think he did something to his face?
I have to look. I mean, like I thought he looked so great when they first got back together.
I did too.
I was like, this is just magical, like sorcery that's happening. I just also think that, here's what I really think. I think that they probably both have a really difficult time dealing with any type of disappointment and things not going the way that they envisioned, because they are both made of imagination. You know what I mean? Like as anyone in show business is. Like their imaginations have made them huge stars and have made them rich. And so sometimes I think when things don't go the way that you've imagined, when your imagination has worked so well for you, it's just like more devastating than what. And I think they're having a hard time managing like a mediocre response to not just their relationship and people's like dubiousness and skepticism about that, but then like a couple projects that like you know this, you guys know this, you have to tell yourself that you can fly, you know?
But you also have to be honest when you crash. And I think that is something that she has a difficult time with. And I mean, did you see that interview that came out from the late 90s where she was just being honest about every actress and what she thought about them?
Oh, yeah. That was insane. That was insane.
But that's the J-Lo I miss. I think after that, she decides, I'm going to bottle it up. I'm going to box it up. I'm going to sell you perfection.
Right.
And I think she's been doing that for 20 years and has not gotten hip to the moment, which I'm very grateful for, which is that we do appreciate authenticity when you actually are being real. I understand some people are still faking it, but that she could be, that if she gave us some I'm real, J-Lo, like your hit song, that I think it would set her free. I think people would appreciate it, but I think they can't stand what's being sold, which is like the project went well, everything is fine. And it's like, it's not.
Right.
But wasn't that also what fucking drove them in the first place, was that Gigli debacle?
Right.
I think it had to have been more than that, because that, if you read her book, which is a pamphlet at best, that wedding is called off 3 days before they are supposed to walk down the aisle. I mean, the doves were in the cages. Like those doves were booked and ready.
Yeah.
The amount, that small amount of time, something wildly vicious must have happened in some way. And 6 months later, she is married to Mark Anthony. Right. I think she's very addicted to the idea of, because in the book, in the pamphlet, Mark Anthony is framed as, it couldn't happen with Ben because it was always supposed to be Mark Anthony, who I had met backstage at a Broadway show, and he had said, I'm going to marry you one day. So this was destiny. It was all okay. And then it wasn't to be with Mark Anthony. And it's like, wait, it was actually destiny with Ben. And it's all okay that all those horrible things happened because it was supposed to be Ben. And I'm going to make that the loose storyline of my music video.
Right.
And it's like, and now what?
Right.
Wait, guys, I'm revising my thoughts on Ben. He might have gotten some injections, but you know what? I think.
What?
I just was looking at all these pictures.
I know, I saw.
I actually just think he shaved his beard and he has that weird face where your face hasn't seen the light of day. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It happens to like every guy that age, like grows a beard.
I just realized I was looking, and then they had like pictures from like a month ago.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't do anything to his face, but he definitely shaved his beard, and then his skin looks like shocked at the light of day.
That's one. That's one area where I have like a little sympathy for men, because like men can grow a beard, which they do sometimes. I think when they're like, my face needs a change. Like we're always struggling with the changes of our faces.
Yes.
Men also struggle. They can just grow a beard. And then I think they forget that there's shit going on under there. And then they shave their beard off and they're like, holy shit, this is like, looks so far away from what I remember myself looking like, that this is insane. And now they spiral.
He was not using olive oil, like J-Lo said. Because that's what J-Lo said is the key to her looking like she looks. So, and he wasn't using that olive oil, I guess, on that beard.
Oh my God. She also said that she used some really cheap lotion that was sold at Whole Foods. I remember she said that on Watch What Happens Live that same time too. And everybody was like buying out that lotion. But now she has her own skincare.
That's right.
I think I'm gonna look into that. I'm happy.
I think that's why she did the olive oil line, because she didn't want to give credit to the other skincare lines because she was launching her own.
Oh, that's possible. That makes sense. That makes sense.
That's smart business, guys. That's just smart business.
It's good business.
It's business. And this was a business podcast. So like we said at the top.
Like we said at the top, guys. All business all the time.
Oh my God.
Chelsea, go have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you both dearly. And everyone, you heard it here. They're booked and ready, and we'll be book clubbing in July, and then we'll be talking about other books on the podcast. And thank you both so much, and I love you.
We love you too, and love to Yasser too. Give him a big squeeze for us.
I will. All
right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Giles.
Are you sleeping on your Blissy pillowcases here? Or did you bring them?
I brought my Blissy pillowcase to go on my favorite little pillow that comes with me everywhere. And thank goodness, because I've been so rough on my hair for the past month, like a lot of heat styling and...
Oh, yeah. With doing the show and getting hair and makeup done and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of products. And so I am trying to pamper my hair, and the Blissy pillowcase is what's making it happen.
Well, Blissy's award-winning 100% mulberry silk pillowcases are going to be your new obsession. Silk is what's best for your skin and your hair, guys. Reducing frizz, tangles, preventing breakage, keeps all that moisture in your hair, keeps your skincare products on your face.
Yes.
You're not going to get those lines. A lot of dupes out there that claim satin can be an alternative to silk. Not the case. Satin is made from synthetic fibers like polyester. Silk is an all-natural, luxurious fiber. It's also washable and hypoallergenic. Blissy pillowcases are made of that 100% mulberry silk, naturally hypoallergenic. You can sleep more comfortably without itching, without rashes, and unlike other silk pillowcases, they're very high quality silk and machine washable and durable.
I love that. And for me, the temperature thing is like, that's real. Artificial fibers hold a lot of heat for me. So I need a natural fiber pillowcase to be able to make it through the night without roasting.
Yeah. Everybody loves these. Men, women, children. They also have tons of different prints and colors. They make great gifts because there's an option for literally anyone. Like I said, men love them too.
Yeah.
Maybe you're getting married this summer. Great gift to give your bridesmaids.
Little
Just gonna tell you.
graduation present.
Graduation gift. Why not? They have over 1 million raving fans. You could be next. Try now risk-free for 60 nights. 60 nights. Try it out at blissy.com/busypod and get an additional 30% off. That's BLISSY.com/busypod and use code BusyPod to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and hair will thank you. And so will we. Oh my God. Do you know what I've been using?
I know what you've been using. I saw it.
It was really exciting.
It's very exciting.
Guys, I got a Lomi pod.
Yes.
Do you guys know what a Lomi is?
Maybe you know. I am new to the Lomi game and I'm so excited.
Okay. Well, here's the thing also I just want to say, like where I live in New York City, we don't have green bins.
Right.
Like in LA, I had a green bin. So all of my clippings and I could put food scraps like that were approved in the green bin. So it was like made it very easy.
Right.
And then after a while in LA, I had like a compost bin in the backyard because I had plenty of space and blah, 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 blah. Not so in New York City, guys.
No.
Not so. Enter the Lomi Bloom is what I have, the Lomi Bloom.
Yes, same.
I have now used it thrice, I think, just in this week that I've had it. I've already used it 3 times. Basically, it turns your food scraps and clippings, like my flowers that were dead. I composted all of my flowers, but it's a machine, so it does it quickly. And what I loved, you guys, I like genuinely love this product. I'm not even like reading off of the script or the things that they're telling you to say. But what I loved is that you can run it on a shorter setting that doesn't make it like fully into compost, but it like breaks it down enough so that then you can put in more stuff and then do the longer setting. So like it takes about, it says 12 to 14 hours to make the full compost. It's super energy efficient and also reduces your carbon footprint by up to 127%. Because when food waste goes to landfills, it breaks down into methane, which is a greenhouse gas.
Right.
And you can turn your food waste into nutrient-rich plant food for your garden. You can bring it to other gardens.
Right.
Your house plants.
I was going to say, you are such a plant mom now.
So it's really incredible. It's a simple solution. It turns your organic waste into nutrient-rich, loamy earth to help feed our soul and our soil.
And our souls and our soils.
Our soils and our souls. Our souls and our soils.
I'm really looking forward to, because when we bought our house, we really inherited a ton of plants from the prior owner, and I haven't been doing the best job taking care of them. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to feed these plants.
But even like leftovers that I forgot about that were in the fridge that I'm like, oh God, that sucks. That's just food waste. That sucks.
Right.
No, I threw it into that loamy. It composted all up. It's unbelievable. Plus, I have this app, and then I'm like tracking my impact, and I earn points when I do my cycles. I really feel strongly about it. And in my own home, nothing makes me feel like a worse person or like a failure.
Yeah.
Than like, I'm like, oh God, food waste.
Bad. Yeah.
That went bad. I can't eat it.
Yeah.
It's done. And here we are, and the loamy shows up right in the nick of time.
To help you heal.
So into it, you guys. I can't even explain to you. I love it so much. Also, one thing about compost that always grossed me out was like my bin would be really, really buggy and, like full of stuff.
Yeah.
And this is just like, you just do it. And then it's just clean.
It actually kind of surprised me. It shocked me.
Did you see my dirt at the house?
Yes.
It's unreal. You guys, this is the best gift. Do not miss out on your chance to get the best gift for yourself.
Yeah.
Also for Mother Earth. Perhaps for someone else in your life.
Maybe for your mother.
Or your dad.
Or your dad.
Or your friends.
Or your husband.
Order your Lomi today. Head to lomi.com/best. Use promo code BEST and you're going to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to Lomi, LOMI.com/best and use promo code BEST at the checkout. Lomi, thank you for sponsoring this episode. But more than that, thank you for changing my life. I am so into my Lomi. I love it so much. It is a gift for you and Mother Earth. Order your Lomi today. Go to lomi.com/best.
She's the best. Love her. What are you doing your best at this week?
Oh my God.
We forgot to say last week because we were both like, we have to go.
Wait, that's so funny.
We forgot the
really,
premise of
really
the podcast.
Funny.
Sometimes it happens.
It rarely does.
It rarely does, but sometimes it does. We
didn't?
We were pressed.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Sometimes we kind of say it though without saying.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we don't explicitly say it, but we allude to it. So that possibly happened.
I
but
literally don't know what I'm doing my best at this week.
you don't know what you're doing your best at this week. You did some pottery this week. You finished some pottery.
I did some pottery. I have some pottery at my house too. I'm doing today.
Oh, nice. So that's good.
Okay.
You've been hanging out with some friends.
I've been going out
A little bit.
trying.
Yeah. Those are all good things.
Yeah.
Those are all good things.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. I've had kind of like a weird couple weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
And like there's been such like a huge distance between like the highs and the lows. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes like things just are going, they're just going.
Yeah. And it's going okay.
And it's like good.
Yeah.
Or okay or whatever. And I feel like the last few weeks have been like the highest of highs. But then the lows have felt really like difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why though, in part,
Yeah.
I did, however, have RG and her assistant, Penelope, come over and like switch out my closet.
Oh, that's nice.
And get all my like spring and summer stuff out and go through things and pull things. And she's like, I don't think you need this anymore. You gotta let this go. But yeah, it was like super helpful, and it just already and like my whole closet's organized now, and it just made me feel so much more settled.
Yes.
And like ready.
Yeah.
To take it all on. I need to have like organization done in this apartment, but I haven't gotten there yet. So it'll happen.
It'll happen.
But I feel pretty good about that. And yeah, and I feel like the show is going to be over this next week. We're like filming for the filming of it.
And it'll continue
to air
through July.
But I feel really good about the show.
Good.
And I also have been trying to remember. Well, it's been easier for me to remember that it's fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like having to pull it all together, like as the producer.
Yeah.
I just can like add my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. And I'm thinking that I hope we get to, maybe I like feel like we should, I think we're going to be able to do more. I do think we're going to be able to do more.
I hope so.
I think we are.
I think the plan is to come back in the fall and to do more. And we just had to talk about that, to do a handful more. I am just really proud of.
What are you doing your best at? Is this in the thing?
That's a good. Well, I mean, I think so. Like, I'm proud of. I'm proud of the show. I think people are enjoying it. I think it's like what we aimed for it to be. And, and that's the thing with like a talk show or whatever. The thing that I think I'm doing my best at is like, sometimes I have an idea of something that I want to do, and like you lack the time or the resources to accomplish it exactly the way you envisioned it. And I would always get very hung up on that. And I think it was in a conversation with Andy Cohen, who is one of our upcoming guests on the thing. I was like, well, we were going to do this, but we can't do that. And that's such a bummer. In that same moment that I was telling him that, I had an epiphany that everybody at home doesn't know what we were going to do. They don't know the cool thing that we were going to do. They don't, like, I'm bummed out because I knew what we were trying to do and it wasn't happening. But the other thing that we came up with and that we were able to execute and that was going to work out, that's all anyone at home knew. And so like that was like an epiphany that I had and has really stuck with me since then. Like only I know about all of the things that I was like going after and trying to make happen. And I know what happened versus what didn't happen, but nobody else knows that. And so it's a non-issue. And the thing is like, you have to work that way, right? Because you have to try 100 things to have 5 things happen,
Totally.
So like to get over and like gain some perspective on the 95 things that didn't happen that you wanted to happen. And a lot of these are like, they're just ideas. There's no way of knowing if they're actually good or not until they're done or not. And so like if they don't happen, like they might have been bad. It might have been bad. And sometimes you think of something that's like even better, but you don't know. You know what I mean? It's like how I always say, when I convince someone that I'm working with not to say something on TV, it's thankless, right? Because you're like, I'm just going on my experience. You shouldn't say that because whatever. You never know. It never pays off. It's thankless to say that because if you successfully convince someone not to say it, we'll never know if we were right or not about it. We'll never know unless they said it and then everyone hated it. And then you could be like, see, I told you not to say it. But that's not what you want. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's like, it's kind of thankless and pointless in the same way. But I think that I'm doing better being like, listen, you put 100 ideas down, you get to do 5 of them. The 5 that you get to do are the best because they're like what you can accomplish and they're like toward your goal. I think for me, I just want people to come on this show and like have a good time.
Which is like universally everyone that has come on has said that.
Yeah. So, so that for me, because I just think it makes for like a good chat with that person. Like so many of these shows are just like, and all shows are great. They're all great in their way. But I just like to be able to watch someone be relaxed and be kind of chill and like,
not stressed
and like not worried that they have to be on guard about what they're about to say and that it's going to get spun up into this big story. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing my best at. And I'm also doing my best at trying to manage like what it's going to be like to go from like 0 miles an hour to 1,000 miles an hour for the past month, back to zero. Or maybe like 5. Yeah.
Wait. I also feel like I'm going to change mine.
Okay.
Because now I've like
changed.
I actually like just, you guys, this is, by the way, fucking talking to Chelsea. Like, I literally was like, what was this past week? Like, I could, like, while I was like talking, I'm like, I don't fucking know. What happened? I was like,
right.
Okay. I posted this on Instagram the other night. That guy that I like decided to stop seeing or whatever, while in our conversation about it, like, which is whatever, a couple weeks ago, he said something like, yeah, I guess like if I'm being honest, I've done some future tripping. This is the expression he used, future tripping. And I don't really think we would be together in the long run. And I was like, whoa.
Right.
What a gut punch. But also like future tripping. Huh. And I realized that I live so firmly in the past and the present now.
Yeah.
For a long time, I lived in the past and the future.
Yeah.
And I could not exist in the present.
Right.
And what I'm really working toward is trying to live mostly in the present.
Yeah.
Which is what I think we all probably should be doing, really.
I mean,
little dips on each side.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I was always future.
Right.
Future and past. But like the past informing what I like, my drive for the future.
Right.
And what I thought I had to get and what I needed and all these things, right? And I realized like after ruminating on that conversation a little bit, not too much, guys, don't worry about it. He's not taking up that much space in my brain. Just don't worry about it. I had a great date last night. It was really fun. That at some point in the last several years, and I think timing wise, it happened when the ex-boyfriend and I broke up after Mark, like that guy that I was like, had a serious relationship with.
Yeah.
When that guy and I broke up, it was like a series of events, right? Like that guy and I broke up. Birdie's like, I'm doing this boarding school thing.
Right.
And Kate got cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all within like, that all happened within a 6-month period, you know? Right. So it's been about a year, right? A little over a year now. So I realized that in this past year, I stopped future tripping,
right.
as that guy would say.
Right.
But like, I stopped.
Right.
There's a lot of like past stuff that keeps showing up.
Yeah.
But I've really been trying to not disconnect by like being on my phone when I'm doing, you know what I mean? Like I've been trying to like really be more present. Like actually not just be more present, but live in the fucking present.
Yes.
And sometimes the pain, the things that like cause me a lot of pain is just the past.
Right.
And the feelings that come up because of it.
Right.
And if I sort of like, when those feelings come up and I sort of like take a beat and I feel where they are or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But maybe I can just, what would I be like to you about this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if you came to me upset about this.
Right.
What would I say to you? Or
Right.
Emily.
Right.
Or Michelle. Or any one of my friends.
Right.
And I've like started to unravel that stuff. And so, and like not disconnecting in the present when it's uncomfortable.
Right.
Because that's another thing that we all do. Oh my God, which is like, I don't know if you guys watch Tim Robinson's show. I Think You Should Leave.
Yes.
It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite ones is the guy who just like immediately gets on his phone if he's like, if he can't handle
Yes.
something, if things get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is so accurate.
Yeah.
Heightened, insane, but accurate. But
Well,
like,
it's also a thing that we see in real life all the time.
Right.
We do it ourselves. Also, we avoid eye contact sometimes with people.
oh, I avoid eye contact. I would avoid eye contact a lot with people
Right.
when I
And-
was uncomfortable.
Right. And well, we talk about it all the time as like a thing that is so annoying, and it's such a like Hollywood party break thing when someone looks around you to find someone more important. I firmly believe I think it's just discomfort with like the moment. And, you know.
Yeah, I told you I saw that guy from LA here at a party.
Yes.
And he did that to me. And I was like, oh, what's happening over there? Something more exciting? Do you need to go over there? Maybe you should.
Right.
And he was so taken aback. And I was like, whatever, dude. I don't have time for this shit.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Anyway, I feel like I have been this week doing my best at being in the present, even if it's uncomfortable. It's been also really great. There's been really great stuff in the present.
Right.
But also stuff that's been uncomfortable, stuff that I haven't loved.
Yeah.
That's been in the present, not in the past.
Yeah.
But like stuff presently that I'm like, ugh. Anyway, so I feel like I'm doing a really good job at that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like if you're not avoiding the present like as a whole, even though there are difficult things that are unpleasant to feel, do you also feel like the reward of the good things? And do you feel like it kind of makes it worth being present?
Yeah.
Good.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it just like also the connection with people feels different.
Yeah.
And I think I have been at times, I think I have been a little avoidant of even just like allowing myself to, be in the present in a good way.
Yeah.
For the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Cause I mean, I get that. I understand. Like, I think sometimes, and I feel this way too, but I think sometimes you just feel like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? And
totally.
It really messes with your mind where you're like, and I don't even mean like, what am I doing here? I mean, like, I'm literally trying to figure out like my function
100%.
in the situation right in front of me.
Yes.
And I'm just like, what acts am I supposed to do?
Yeah. What is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah. So,
But I think instead of like doing that, I feel like I've shifted, and it's definitely been gradual.
yeah.
But I think I have shifted into being able to like be a little bit more aware that like the present is just fucking happening right now.
Right.
Even like thinking about 3 hours from now.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Why?
Yeah. Right. Because, well, future tripping is like, it's an interesting thing to talk about. Like
By the way, is that an expression? I've never heard it before.
it possibly is. I don't know. But it's also like, I mean, everybody has things that they wish for in the future. and that you're working toward, and I think that's okay. But I think like in a case of saying like I future tripped and I don't really see us together, like I think that's a way to absolve yourself of the responsibility of just saying like I don't really think we're a match.
Or well, I mean, I think that's what he was saying, sort of, but also, I mean, in
like
a bigger
displacing it,
yeah,
to like,
but
to
also
something,
like,
but also we can't know.
We can't know. That's the thing. But like, also. That's exactly it.
If you were future tripping your friendship with Kate, she'd be here. You know what I mean?
Girlfriend, don't I fucking know it. I was thinking about that. Like that was like, had posted that picture. I know I'm going to cry. I had like posted that picture because and anyone who's like lost someone that they love, I know you've had this experience where like you're just doing your thing that day.
Yeah.
They were coming to like help me with my closet, and I was like, I'm going to use this opportunity to like straighten up more stuff in my room and like organize some things and get rid of some stuff, you know? And then lo and behold, this like fucking box that's been sitting there in my bedroom at the townhouse for I don't even know how fucking long.
Right.
And I'm like, what is this? What's in here? And it's just a whole, because I thought all of my photos and everything is here at the apartment.
Yeah.
And it was just it was a box just filled with pictures of us.
Yeah.
But like all mixed up, like everything from like 15, 14 years old to like last year.
Right.
Like, and I just had like a, like where I just like sat down on the floor and was just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, about that, and like, I think that's probably why I had this date with this guy last night.
Yeah.
That was so great. Like, I literally was just like, I'm just here with this person who's fucking interesting. And like, by the way, that also helps, right? Like, he wasn't like, he definitely was like, we were set up. So it was like definitely not like a weird, bad dud of a person. Like it was somebody that was like interesting, cool, and funny and could talk and like was interested in me and like asked really good questions, but like shared with me so much stuff and we just had this like really fun conversation. And at no point was I like, is this my person? Am I going to get married to this guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just was like, this is just a really fun thing. Yeah. Like date, like fun thing to meet this person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you're better for it.
I'm better for it. And I didn't feel any like weird anxiety. Either.
Right. Because you stopped yourself from future tripping.
I stopped myself from future tripping.
Because it's pointless. Because we're not in charge of...
Because I don't fucking know.
Right. All you can do is like what you're going to do tomorrow.
And it's funny because I've like gone on this trip with like therapists, fucking tarot card readers or astrology people that I've talked to, whatever, where I'm like, and my therapists too, a lot of therapy, where I'm like, I am so certain about career stuff. I can see it. I know it. I want it. I can get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And within that, there's a great deal of uncertainty because it's reliant on other people as well, right? But I'm like, I don't understand why in romantic relationships, why I don't have that ability. And no one has ever offered to me, because you can't.
I think I know the answer to that, by the way. I think I have the answer to that. I think because in your career, you're joining forces with other people, but it's all in the service of like business. Like it benefits
everyone.
When you're joining with someone in a relationship, you have a vision for the relationship. That person has a vision for themselves in the relationship. And I think that people in relationships, in romantic relationships, a lot of times see the other person getting their vision as them giving up something of themselves. They don't see it as like we're getting more of our goals together. I think people generally see it as like, I have to give this up to make her happy. And I'm giving myself away. And women, I know, feel that way. Women I see practice it all the time. They give up 50, 75, 80, 90% of themselves to exist happily in these relationships, to make them work. So I think that's why it's different than business, because we automatically...
This makes so much sense. Yeah.
We start tabulating how much we're giving up.
Yeah, we're like keeping track the whole time.
Yes. Whereas I think like we could use a cultural reframe of like, well, it's why the phrase power couple is like, it pushes like a happy button in everyone's brain, because when you think of like a power couple, you think of these two people that unite and they generate so much more than the sum of their parts as a couple. But like we should all be thinking of ourselves as power couples, and we should all be thinking of like what we're gaining by being together, as opposed to like what we're compromising. And we shouldn't be really asking each other to compromise all that much of who we are as people.
Right.
You know, if you're giving up half of yourself to be with someone, then you're not being with that person really. That half of you is being with that person. You know, and so it's the math isn't gonna math in the end. That's what I think is the answer to that.
I think that's really smart. Well, anyway, I think I'm doing my best at being in the present.
I think that's so good, like, because there just are no guarantees. And I'm so sad for every moment that we like skimmed over because we were thinking of some future moment that may or may not come.
Totally.
And, you know, it's just a guess. It's just a guess. And I'm sure we've all missed a lot of amazing moments because of like, well, probably because of like our discomfort with just fucking everything. Just, you know, but I feel you. I think that's so good. And I'm glad that you went out with someone nice, and like, even if you just had one.
This is what I'm saying. I don't even like, I'm not, do you know what I'm saying?
Don't
like,
even
I'm
need
like,
to.
It's totally, and I don't say that to mean that I wouldn't want to go out with him again.
Exactly.
But I'm just like, I'm literally for the first time ever, I'm like, that was fucking great.
Which is like that. Yes. You're better for that one evening, regardless of what happens in the future. And like, would you like it? Yes. But if nothing else ever happens,
I'll be okay.
You had a great night where you had like a great conversation and treated like you deserve to be treated, you know? Yeah. I think that's so good, Busy. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too. You've been working so hard.
I have been working like wildly. I'm trying to decide if it's like, am I so rusty that this seems much harder than it ever was before? And is it like I'm getting older?
No, I told you what it was, but that's all right. We don't need to share.
But there have been a number of times where I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like throw up or cry or like what is happening. But everybody's been so lovely and wonderful, and it's been so fun to like do this, and I love that team at QVC again, like much like your date.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm like, I love it, and it's been such a fun way to be doing something.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, I had that feeling too. Like, you and I have talked about this off the pod, but like, and maybe we did a little bit on the pod, I think too. But like, I mean, we were so fucking tired last week when we did the podcast. It was really, guys, sorry about that. We were really not in our the right frame. We've had a couple days off. It's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
It's a way better time for us to do this than tomorrow after
between two shows
and shooting something. Like, I really have been so grateful and appreciative of this whole experience and like loving it. Yeah. You know what I mean? In the moment too.
Yeah.
Also, did we do it kind of? Did we do all the things? Because I wanted to play something for you guys at the end to play us out. I have something to play us out, but you tell me when it's all done.
Oh, okay. I think we did all the things. I think you can play us out.
Okay, one thing that happened this past week was, as I had mentioned briefly, Cricket had the 5th grade orchestra and choral concert.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you are going to these year-end concerts.
Yeah.
It would encourage you all to, for the most part, which I like really have my phone. I was not on the phone. I did not have the phone out. I like wasn't taking pictures really.
Yeah.
I just was like listening. But then I had to take this 33-second clip because basically they go through, it's like all the different instruments like do their little showcase, right?
Yeah.
Strings, winds, wood, percussion.
Yeah.
There's 2 different guitar groups. And chorus, right? And they all like do their little like song, whatever it is. And then the like head of the music department is like, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to attempt to put it all together. And when I tell you that I truly sobbed, because the simplicity of it, the like absolute joy of childhood, and I guess future and past tripping at the same time, like knowing, oh no, I'm gonna cry, knowing that 5th grade is like, and this summer is really like for most kids, it's kind of like in so many ways, like the last time they're little kids.
Yeah.
Like 5th grade is kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like it, you know?
I cried my eyes out when on the last day of 5th grade.
It's hard. It's really hard. Like, and you see, like, cause you see it. Like, there was one little girl who was who was like sitting kind of, she was playing, you know, one of the instruments. And I was like, I see her as a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, I see her little face. Like, now it's not a little face anymore. I like see what she's about to look like and be, you know?
Yeah.
And I really just was like, I get the song choice, the whole thing. And it's only 33 seconds because then I was just like, put my phone down, sobbed, and just listened. But I'm just going to play it out for you guys. You guys, we love you. Have the best week.
Aww.
Let it be, guys.
Let it be.
Fucking let it be. Just let it be.
Oh my gosh.
I love you guys.
We love you. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh no.